Okay, you can't hear me because I didn't unmute myself. But it says we're live again. So drop a 1 if you can see me and hear me. God, just problems every day. Like, is it gotta be that way? Does it have to be that way? I pay all the money. I do everything I'm supposed to do. I do all the research. I do all the fucking maintenance. Sign all the documents. Jump through all the hoops. Follow all the community guidelines. Keep my education up. Why I gotta have problems every day? Okay, so we're back on CommieTube. And we are live on Twitch. Mr. Beans Beans, you guys can see me over here. Good. Even though it says nobody's there. Come on, Twitch, wake the fuck up. There we go. There we go. And what about Kick? When I call your name, you say present. Okay. Good over on Kick. And what about Rumble? And we're good on Rumble. What's up, Beach Mama? What's up, Cool Frog? Cool Frog, I seen somebody tagging you on Twitter. I see all the membership, whatever, the partnership Rumble live streamers all over Twitter and stuff. I just lurk. I don't interfere. I just lurk. But Cool Frog, I seen you get tagged by somebody yesterday. You were in a screenshot somewhere. Alright, I think we're good to go. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to hop in this video because the replay is going to suck. Nobody's going to watch this replay. It's 20 minutes of me bitching. What's up, Cassandra? Happy freedom. Alright, Hooligans. So we're gonna do something. Let's get this press briefing moved out of the way because KJP still is not here. So I think we go ahead and get started on this first video. It is 5 minutes long, but whatever's whatever. We'll make it work. We're going to start this first video here, and I'll keep an eye on the press briefing when it kicks off. You know, we'll do the thing. But this first one is a plethora of topics, and it's titled, Whoopi Proves The View is the Dumbest Show I've Ever Seen. If you haven't hit that like button over on Rumble, make sure you go and do that. Share out the links and all that good stuff. I forgot to tell you guys about the stuff, so we're gonna do that really quick, really quick. I am making t-shirts. I promise. I know you don't believe me because we're on like day 4 or 5 of me saying that, but I mean it because it's a real thing. So let me see if I could show you the thing right quick. I have made 3 designs, and this is one. This is the one that I'm gonna be purchasing. Then we have this design, if I can show you guys. These 2 shirt designs hopefully will be available tomorrow. That is the plan. This is the second design. Holy fuck, you want to start working, computer? Come on now. And that's the third design. Actually, I'll have white text, not red text. Either way, those are the 3 designs that you'll see on t-shirts coming up pretty soon. I'll drop the links to the merch store while we're watching this first video.
Time now for news from the left. While referencing the Supreme Court taking up Trump's immunity case, enjoy the fantastic legal prowess of esteemed scholar, one Whoopi Goldberg.
Let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has that. He has all those rights. He is immune from everything. Yeah. You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, he could.
Well, Whoopi, there's an executive and there's also a judicial, there's also legislative. Biden really can't just throw anyone in prison. If you have any concept of how the country actually works, which of course nobody on that show does, which is why that show is so stupid. But this is what happens when you let people who starred in Sister Act host political shows on major news networks. And ABC is somehow fine with all of this. It has got to be the dumbest show I've ever seen. Next up, New York's Attorney General is drunk on power, now suing the world's largest beef producers in an effort to combat climate change. She's just going to sue the people that feed all of us. Letitia James is suing JBS Foods for allegedly not meeting their environmental quality standards of net zero emissions by 2040. By the way, it's 2024, honey bun. She accuses the meat producer of greenwashing by using false advertising to mislead consumers on their commitment to sustainability, and it's apparently endangering our planet. So she's worried about methane emissions, all of these cows. How much is she emitting, I wonder? California Governor Gavin Newsom doing a great job saving the environment himself after caving to pressure from tribal and environmental groups to save the salmon in a river along the California-Oregon border. Newsom demolished 4 dams, which ended up destroying spawning salmon beds in the process. So here he is trying to do the right thing, and this goober just screws it all up. The project was approved by the federal government in 2022, the largest dam removal in the nation's history, getting rid of 4 dams. But according to the California Globe, the process brought about more pollution, parasites, and chemicals. Great job! Which killed the ecosystem not only for salmon, but other species like endangered steelhead trout that have been rising to the surface of the river. Back in 2020, Newsom begged Warren Buffett to financially support this $450 million demolition. Great job, Gav. Another knockout one. All right, next up, to save democracy, we must destroy free speech, says MSNBC.
Some of our greatest strengths can also be our Achilles heel. So, for example, our deep commitment to free speech in our First Amendment. It is a cherished right. It is an important right in democracy, and nobody wants to get rid of it. But it makes us vulnerable to claims that anything we try to do to regulate speech is censorship. Of course, the Supreme Court has held that all fundamental rights, even the right to free speech, can be limited as long as there is a compelling governmental interest.
Notice how they don't say anything about what seems to happen every time in this country when these goons in Washington try to give us their little speech on disinformation and try to fact check this so-called misinformation. She doesn't mention anything about how the government so quickly moves the goalpost on what is misinformation, and how quickly it just becomes misinformation, just becomes things that they find inconvenient for us to know. Not necessarily things that are untrue, but things they just don't want you to know. And that is why free speech absolutionist is the way that this has to be. There's no other way to do this. There's no other way to run a free country than to let all the information be out there and people can pick and choose what they want to believe. It's the only way this works. These people don't understand that. And it's funny how the smartest people always end up saying the stupidest stuff. They have all the degrees in the world, and they can't understand these very, very basic fundamental concepts that make this country functional, make it great.
Yes, they love communism over there. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Whoopi Goldberg sounds crazy as hell. She's like, you know what old man Walter can do? He could just group up all the Republicans and throw them in prison. No, the fuck he can't. You really believe that? You don't deserve shit if you think that's okay. Like, not only does she believe it, but she was like seething over it. Thinks that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's something that should happen. What a crazy person. And then they're over there crying about free speech. Little do they know, hate speech is free speech. They're a bunch of dumb douchebags worrying about stupid shit. Worrying about stupid shit. Misinformation. Misinformation is just a distraction from propaganda. They're making everybody worry about misinformation and disinformation when propaganda is misinformation with the intent of deceiving others. Ain't nobody worried about propaganda because everybody's hearing about misinformation. And the people that are telling you to worry about that stuff, be scared of words, are the ones that are actually lying to people and manipulating them and giving them the propaganda to give them programming. telling everybody be real scared of those words. Stupid shit. Anyways, we're still waiting on KJP. No sign of life out of that person. We'll see if I can find Fox or National Desk or something like that. Maybe we can see what's going on in the press briefing room. It'll be hard to say because I know everybody's watching the Fannie Willis, whatever. Doo-doo-doo. I wonder if we're going to see Peter Ducey today. I wonder. So here's a peek inside the press briefing room.
Well,
Looks like we got time. There ain't hardly anybody there. Those seats are definitely not full. So I think we got time for another video. Let's set that aside. Our next one up is titled, "This is a Waste of Taxpayer Dollars." It's talking about old man Walter and how he went to Texas yesterday for no reason. Just because he heard that the Orange Eagle was going, so he thought he better go there and save face. What a waste of time. The other thing is, oh, you can't see him. This guy on the right, he's off his rocker. His body language and everything tells me that he's mentally unwell. So pay attention to that. I'm pretty sure he's, like, his heart's in the right place, but he just is behaving very weird through that whole video. Very strange behavior. Before we get on to that, we're going to read through the chat and see what you hooligans think of that plethora of news that we just listened to. 10 man, this past Monday, a rep for Abbott Industries had to reprogram the device in my lower back. It seems to be working correctly now. That's awesome, 10 man. Heck yeah. Good news is the best news. And anything that comes from the mainstream media is our own government. It's misinformation and propaganda. Yep, it is. 10 man, Gavin the Goober. He's worse than that. 10 man, I'd buy the first logo on a zipper hoodie. We'll have them. We'll have them on zipper hoodies. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have it all put together. I'll put all 3 designs up on multiple items. So really it's like we have 3 shirts coming out tomorrow. And it should be all good to go. We shouldn't have any problems. I stayed up till like 4:30 this morning working on it. I actually made like 7 variations, but those 3 that I showed you were the ones I liked the best. Just reading through. Cool Frog, did you listen to Camilla about an hour ago? Nah, I don't listen to Hyena Harris. She makes my brain squirrely. I don't like listening to her talk forward and backwards. It's like listening to children gossip. You know, you got little kids around like 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, and then you hear them gossip to each other, and their concept of, like, their perception of the world is so skewed that their gossip is hilarious, but then also like severely ignorant. I can't listen to that either. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, no. That's nonsense. I ain't got time for the nonsense. No, I'm a busy man. I ain't got time for that. As Russell, you like the shirt design? Awesome. I'm glad you guys are digging it. Like I said, you know, all week I've been trying to get these designs out, but it's been a busy week. Let's see. Matthew, who's the 2 on stage? We'll get into it in a second. I don't really know who they are, but they're all talking shit about old man Walter, so I figured we'd cover it. Why not? Matthew, you think KJP's gonna have yellow today? What do you hooligans think? I'm thinking green. Something is telling me that KJP's gonna step out in green today. Like a leprechaun. Looking like a leprechaun. Oh, and today is the first day of the hooligan holiday. You guys know that? It is March 1st, and all of March is the hooligan holiday, because in 10 days, it is my birthday, and we're gonna do the big birthday unboxing. Let's just do the reminder right now, since I'm already saying it and all of you guys are here. If you would like to send me something for my birthday and participate in the big birthday unboxing on March 11th, you can do so by either using the Amazon wish list or by sending something of your choosing to the P.O. box. I'm going to drop this Amazon wish list link to you guys. Anything you purchase directly from the wish list will be sent straight to me. You don't have to worry about email addresses or addresses to mail it to or any of that stuff. It's very simple. Just anything you purchase from the wish list will be sent to me, and I will put it right next to Klaus Tower here. And on March 11th, we're going to have the big birthday unboxing. Of course, I'll shout you guys out and all of that. Reminder, I've been forgetting all week. If you do purchase something off of the the wish list, you should have the option to tick a little box that says gift. And if you do that, you'll have a message box to write in. At least let me know who you are so I can shout you out when I receive stuff from the wish list, because otherwise it just says it came from the Amazon distribution center, and then I don't know who to shout out, and I want to shout you out because I really appreciate everything you guys do for me. This next link that I'm dropping is for the P.O. box, because if you would prefer to send me something of your own choosing, not only will you need the P.O. box address, but you'll also need my email address so you can send me a message and let me know that you mailed me something. You don't have to tell me what it is, just tell me what day to go pick it up, or send me a picture of the tracking number so I can monitor it myself, because if it sits at the post office longer than 3 days, they will mail it back to you, and I don't want you to have to deal with the hassle. And don't pay extra for shipping and handling. Those fucking people don't deserve it. They're shitty at their job, and you let them know that I said so. But just let me know. Use the P.O. box address exactly how it's wrote on the contact page of the website, and then send me an email letting me know, and I'll go pick it up. And on March 11th, we're doing the big birthday unboxing. Anyways, we're continuing on reading through the chat. I am monitoring this press briefing thing. So far, nothing special going on, but we are most likely going to be able to get into this next video here. Shitting on old man Walter. Side dog. I did not choose from your wish list because I'm non-conformist. That's fine, Sly Dog. That's totally fine. I actually didn't have a wish list for a long time, and I can't remember if it was Miss Jamie. Somebody was like really encouraging me to go put that together, and I did. I think it might have been for the convoy, the People's Convoy, when that was going on. There was a lot of encouragement for it, and so I just been keeping it going. Kevin, if you ever come to Prince Edward Island, Canada, I'm taking you deep sea fishing. That would be awesome. I don't know what it's going to take for Canada to let me in. As far as I know, I need a pardon from the governor, or I need to spend a week in New York for criminal reform. I'd have to go to some sort of place, a facility for a week to prove that I have reformed from my criminal ways because of my criminal history. So they won't let me into Canada. And I don't have any felonies. Apparently that's like a facade. My whole life I was growing up with people telling me, man, don't get a felony, because if you do, you can't have guns, you can't vote, and you can't leave the country. I'm like, all right. So my whole life I'm like, okay, you can fuck up a little bit, but not enough to get a felony. And then I left the country thinking it was going to be all gravy. Oh no, I was detained. It was not okay. I'm never allowed to even attempt to enter the country again. I mean, maybe I'll tell them I'm, from Mexico or something. Maybe they'll let me in. I don't know. You see me wandering around with cartels trying to get into Canada, you mind your business. Trying to go visit some hooligans. What's up, D. Marquis? Happy freedom. Appreciate you being here. Let's see. DeMarquise. Whoopi's real name is, what is it, Karen Elaine Johnson? She is a Karen, isn't she? Two ruby shoes. Don't insult leprechauns. I know. KJP comes staggering out in green, and we're calling her out for culture appropriation. That's what we're going to do. What's up, Ink Scars? Happy freedom. Andrew, you think she's going to be in brown camouflage? Nah. I'd be surprised. We got like a 30% chance she's going to come out looking like little orphan Annie. I can. It's going to look like a clown no matter what the outfit is. Well, you're right about that. That's cheating. You can't just say that, okay? You got to actually call an outfit color here, okay? You can't just cut to the chase. Snooks, thank you for letting me know. Annette, you think she's going to be wearing purple or light blue? Yeah. She might. We'll see. I'm keeping an eye on it because they're busy over here, but I'm not seeing asses in the seats yet. Zero, you think she's going to pop out with the Neapolitan ice cream? She might. She's done it a couple times. It's been a couple times now. Puffin stuff. She's coming out in red to support President Trump. She's coming out in MAGA red. She might. Let's see. MU. No. Do not go and reform. I know. If I went to New York for criminal reform, they'd be trying to stick a tampon in me or some shit. Oh, yeah. We got YouTube around? Well, we'll see if YouTube can handle that. Anyways. let's get on to this video before KJP comes staggering out smelling like shit and shame. This is titled, "This was a waste of taxpayer dollars."
Dana Lash and America First Legal founder Stephen. Let's bring in nationally syndicated radio host Dana Lash and America First Legal founder Stephen Miller. Dana, you're a Texas girl. What did that look like to you today?
It looked like just a photo op. It was a waste of taxpayer dollars for the president of the United States to come to Texas, Jesse, and then grandstand at the most sanitized part of the border where force multipliers have worked in this state, so much so that all of this, the massive amounts, the caravans, all the migrant caravans, the millions of people that have been crossing every single year, now they're going to different parts of the southern border. And I thought that President Trump going to Shelby Pass, going down there to Shelby Park and Eagle Pass, that's the place to go to. That's the place that's ground zero, for the lack of a better way to put it, in this standoff between Texas and the federal government. And just today, Jesse, it came out, in this battle between Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the Biden administration, now Texas has its hands tied once again, and the ability to actually detain people who enter the country illegally and prosecute them or send them back to Mexico. Again, Texas's hands are tied. We're spending millions upon millions upon millions of taxpayer dollars in Texas to carry out Joe Biden's lawlessness. And to that audio soundbite you played of that one gentleman, Jesse, all Joe Biden has to do literally is use his executive authority, and he can reinstate.
I'm gonna grab some coffee real quick.
That were under the Trump administration, the ones that he undid his first week in office, he could put those back in place. So until he does that, this is a heartless, cruel photo op that's a waste of taxpayer dollars.
Stephen, they're just newcomers, though. Not migrants. They are just newcomers.
Yes, and some of those newcomers, Jesse, are bludgeoning women to death while they're out on a morning jog, are raping children, are plowing dangerously down the road, killing fathers, killing mothers, killing whole families. There's carnage all over the streets of this country carried out by these newcomers. Let's talk about what Joe Biden did, because it's very simple. He came into office and he ordered Border Patrol to release en masse millions of illegal aliens, and for the first time in history, to release en masse fighting age men. Men in their 20s, men in their 30s, by the millions into the country. And he did this knowing full well, and his aides knowing full well, that in those groups would be predators and rapists and killers. This is a moral crime against the entire nation. And the fact that he doesn't have the fundamental humanity to say the words, to say the name Lincoln Riley, because your policies killed her, Joe. Your policies killed her. And to the Senate Democrats that say they're not going to even let there be a trial against Mayorkas, and I'm looking at you, John Tester. I'm looking at you, Sherrod Brown. You become accessories to those crimes. You become accomplices to those heinous, barbaric acts of violence against American citizens if you will not stand up, hold the trial for Mayorkas, and throw him out of office. The blood of innocent Americans has been shed too long. Do something, damn it. Do something. People are dying, Jesse, and this administration is counting votes, counting new voters. It makes me sick.
There are going to be Laken Rileys after Laken Rileys in this country week after week after week until this election. That's the saddest part about this. I got to go. We got on the other side Ted Nugent. Guys, thank you so much. Stephen Miller, Dana Lash, always a pleasure. Click here to subscribe.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy was, but man, he was amped up. He's right, but he just, I don't know. It seemed like he was trying too hard, but that's my 2 cents on it. I don't know. He sounded like he was acting. He didn't sound passionate about what he was saying. He just sounded like he was acting, like he was playing a character. But he was right, though. Those border crossers are coming here and they're killing us and they're taking all of our resources, and old man Walter's letting it happen, and on top of that, he's going to spend our tax dollars to go visit the border and act like everything's okay. And then he wants to take jabs at President Trump and blame him. I think it's crazy that he could be sitting in office for 4 years and still have things to blame Trump. He walked in and did all those executive orders, and he still finds reasons to blame President Trump. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Next up, we got Judge blocks law that allows Texas police to arrest border crossers and screws that all up. It's coming up next. But first, I'm going to remind you guys, if you would like to participate in Free Speech Saturday, make sure you post all of your memes on Gilded or on jeffmaclive.com. Just hop in the group chats on either platform, find the tabs labeled memes, drop what you got, and we'll shout you out as we're making Saturdays more fun. We're going to read through the chat. I'm monitoring this Kid JP situation. Go ahead and monitor it with me. I don't know, I'm not breaking the live, am I? Don't start doing the thing. Alright. So yeah, we'll just sit here and monitor this while we read through the chat. What's up, Chrissy Star? Happy Freedom. What's up, Livid Review? What's up, Nefties? Appreciate you guys joining us. Livid Review, will that passion take hold with anyone? Likely no. Yeah, people need to be mad about these border crossers, and they are in Georgia where that woman was killed. I don't know if that story is even circulating right now. It's kind of hard to tell. I know it is in Twitter. I have a hard time telling what people can see on Twitter, because it seems like if I like a video or I like a topic, then that's all I see the whole day. The whole rest of the day, I just see that same topic or the same video or the same meme or whatever just over and over again on Twitter, and it drives me nuts. Like, I don't want to be on there to be in an echo chamber. I'd like to see like-minded topics, but just not the same fucking thing over and over again. I don't know, but people should be outraged at the open border for all the reasons that we've been talking about all year, for probably a couple years now. But now that they're here and they're just blatantly murdering Americans, yeah, there should be some pissed off people. I thought that lady looked like Wanda Sykes. I froze for a second there. I was like, no way I'm going to have to listen to that fucking woman. Might as well have Whoopi Goldberg show up if we're going to have to listen to that shit. I was about to cancel the press briefing. Like, nah, I ain't listening to Wanda Sykes. I ain't doing that shit. Not right now, I can't. Her voice drives me nuts. Makes me crazy. Anyways, moving forward. Mr. B knew desperate people kill people. What did they think was going to happen? Well, they thought that we were going to offer them, room and board in our house. They were like, yeah, we're going to let the border crossers in, and those nice Americans, they're just going to take them into their homes. And so when we get killed by them, the government sees that and they go, well, should let them sleep in the bed with your kids. I'm like, nah, man, that's not the answer. But that's what they want. That is what they want. Breezed by you, I'm completely outraged, and I have been for years. Close the border. Yeah. How bad has it got to get? How many of us got to be killed by those people before they do something about it? Before they stick up for us? Sly Dog, Teenage Terrorists. Yep. What's up, Paul? Happy Freedom. Thanks for joining us. Island, yes, more coffee. Yeah, that's my 5th cup, I think, today. And I drank a Monster earlier. I need to stop doing that. Those Monsters make me crazy. But I only slept 2 hours since yesterday. And we had that 4-hour live. And I do a lot of stuff in the background. But either way, we're going to make it work because it's Freedom Friday. Kevin, hop on the next potato boat that goes in the Great Lakes region. We ship them there all the time. Something. We'll get out there. Canada will let me in one day. I wish it would go back to the way it used to be, where Michiganders used to be able to just drive into Canada. You didn't need a passport. You didn't need, like, I have a special ID or whatever they call it, an advanced ID. You didn't need any of that. As long as you had a Michigan driver's license, you used to be able to just drive into Canada. And I wish it would go back to that. Just so I could go visit and see all the hooligans over there. Slide Dog, they want your 2A to save just one life, but they won't secure the border. Yeah. I think Old Man Walter was recently talking about banning assault rifles. Again. Like, they're all assault rifles, Old Man Walter. Bombay Man, Judge and Fannie Willis disqualification case is not on Trump's side. No. None of the judges are on, it's not just Trump's side, it's on America's side. Like, this video we're about to get into is how a judge is screwing things up for Texas. Because in Texas, they're actually arresting border crossers. And now a judge just made it so that can't happen anymore. And considering we don't have a single reporter in the press briefing room, I assume we'll just have enough time to do that. So we'll go ahead and pull this up. I don't know what's going on with the press briefing. I finished reading through the chat really quick, and we'll get on to this next video. It's titled "Judge Blocks Law Allowing Texas Police to Arrest Border Crossers." It's coming up next. DeMarquise, it's Miller time. I wish I had some Blue Moon. Still a little early though. Tubi Shoes, I just walked into Canada when I lived in Michigan, no problem. See, I live too far away. I think the closest trip I have to Canada is about 4 hours. I'm about 4 hours away from Canada. And I'd be over at the Windsor Tunnel. I'm closest to that, I believe. I think it's a longer trip to go up to the UP for me, from where I'm at. Let's see. Weird, they just blacked out the live at the White House. What's up, Manna? Happy freedom. What's up, Andrew? Appreciate you being here. What's up, Louise? Or is it? It's probably Lewis. What's up, Lewis? Kevin, anyone with Verizon having internet issues? I don't have Verizon, but I have been hearing people having internet issues today. Could be anything. It's probably Chinese spy balloons, or maybe it's some UFOs. The mothership's still in the atmosphere, as far as I know, or in the galaxy, or whatever the Pentagon was fucking telling us last year. Snooks, Bobby has not come back yet. Hopefully Bobby will come back. Whatever, it'll get worked out. It'll work itself out. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and get this started. This is Judge Blocks Law Allowing Texas Police to Arrest Border Crossers.
The showdown between Texas and the federal government intensifies. A federal judge has officially blocked Texas police from arresting migrants for crossing into the country illegally. Texas Governor Greg Abbott appealing that ruling, saying he will never back down from protecting the state from what he calls President Biden's border crisis. Stephanie Haynes joins us live to explain more. Stephanie, Governor Abbott now plans to take this all the way to the Supreme Court.
Hey, Marky, good morning. The governor has indicated that's been his plan all along, but this ruling came down just as we all saw this incredible image of these dueling border visits of President Biden and former President Trump at different points along the Texas-Mexico border. And Texas Governor Greg Abbott greeted President Trump at Eagle Pass, and that's really been the heart of this standoff between Texas and the federal government. That's where it's been playing out with the concertina wire and the buoy barrier in the Rio Grande and the construction of a base camp for 2,300 Texas National Guard troops, all to deter migrants from illegally crossing into the United States, including this law that this federal judge just blocked. It passed last year, and it would have allowed local police to arrest migrants suspected of crossing illegally, have a judge order them back to Mexico, and then have local authorities transport them to the border. The federal judge writing in the ruling, quote, to allow Texas to permanently supersede federal directives on the basis of an invasion would amount to nullification of federal law and authority, a notion that is antithetical to the Constitution and has been unequivocally rejected by federal courts since the Civil War. Governor Abbott didn't address this ruling specifically when he was at the border, but instead doubled down on blaming the Biden administration.
Texas has invoked the authority provided to us in Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution to declare an invasion and for Texas to defend ourselves.
But immigration advocacy groups have criticized this Texas law, saying it opens the door for potential civil rights abuses and racial profiling.
The federal government needs to provide those and to coordinate with the states, but likewise, the state needs to coordinate back with the federal government so that we can see these needs being met in a way that's cohesive.
She sounds like a fucking communist.
To this 2012 ruling from the Supreme Court on an Arizona case, which struck down parts of a state law that would bolster immigration enforcement. So there is a bit of legal precedent here going forward. Meantime, the latest data from CBP shows that just this fiscal year, there have been more than 1 million, close to 1 million encounters at the southern border, with that record 300,000 in the month of December alone. Marky.
Wow. Yeah, it seems like we are past the boiling point. Stephanie Haynes, thank you so much. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to Join In.
So she thinks that Greg Abbott should just comply with the federal government, even though what they're doing is unconstitutional and symptoms of a tyrannical government. Yeah, you should just comply. You should just comply when the government's stepping on your rights and allowing people to invade our country and murder our people and, hang out with our kids and kidnap them and steal from us and sell shit, steal from blue states to sell their shit to the red states. And yeah, just comply with the federal government. Things are going great over there. No, that sounds like communism to me. I think what Greg Abbott is doing is constitutional. It's what everyone should be doing. They should be detaining, arresting, and kicking those fuckers out of the country because they're not here legitimately. So as long as they're here, they're criminals. Criminals have consequences coming their way, or they should. They should be held accountable for their actions. And that's the point. That's the whole point. It doesn't matter what their wants or needs are. If I'm starving to fucking death and I need to eat something right now or I'm gonna die, if I walk down the street and break into someone's house and steal food, it doesn't matter how hungry I am. So it doesn't give me an excuse to cross the threshold of their doorway. It doesn't matter how sorry I am, how pathetic I am, all the things I need in life. As soon as I cross that threshold of the door, I'm in fucking trouble. They cross the threshold of our country border, and that's fine. That's supposed to just be fine. And then they come here and murder us, and that's fine too. Like, no, we're not complying with that government. No way. No way. We need government reform. Well, I'm seeing reporters come back in the press briefing room, although none of them sat down. I'm not sure what's going on at the White House. They are severely unorganized, considering they're supposed to be in charge of running the country. Next up, we got a Ted Nugent video. I think it's also a Jesse Waters video. It's titled, "Trump Nailed It at the Border. There is a rising up of we the people." It's coming up next. But first, we're going to read through the chat and see what you hooligans think about all of that. Cassandra, how much crime do these illegals have to commit before something is done? I don't think they're going to do anything until people start doing stuff. When people are openly going after these guys and giving them some resistance, then the government and the news and everybody will say white supreme pizza is reigning in the streets and they're attacking these poor border crossers. And then that's when the attention's going to really show up. But until then, I think everybody's going to continue to look the other way. That's what I think. I don't know. These reporters over here run around like chickens. Island, did anyone see how pissed the border patrolmen were at Old Man Walter yesterday? We seen it for a little bit. We didn't see the beginning of it. But we seen like the 6 people standing around Old Man Walter while everybody else was all excited and happy to greet President Trump at the Orange Eagle Pass. Sly Dog, states' rights. Yep. That lady don't care about that. She don't care about states' rights. She just wants you to comply with the federal government. When they say die, you're supposed to say how fast. Seppa, if you want no border crossers, you're a racist. Got it. Yeah, that's where they are right now. That's where they are. You know, it's the same way. If you don't want a dude in a dress to take you out on a date, then you're a homophobic bigot. You know, that's how that goes. You gotta like Lady Wiener. That's not even a real thing, but you gotta like it or else you're a bad person. It doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense to me. Bombay Man, where Trump's appointed judge? I don't know. I don't even know anything about that. I hear about it all the time, but I didn't know it. I wasn't paying attention to politics when those judges were appointed, so I don't know where they are or what they're supposed to be doing or if they even still exist. I just hear about it on the news. I don't know enough about that, though. Wet blanket, that's BS. It is. It is. And old man Walter used our tax money to go down there and do nothing. Stand in a room. He probably wasn't even in Texas. He was inside some room somewhere with some people dressed up that look like cops. That could have been anywhere. He could have just been in the backyard of the White House. He probably didn't even go to Texas. What's up, Cody? Happy freedom. D-Cat, it's never too early. I'm drinking a Long Island iced tea right now. Oh, man, I love Long Island iced teas. Especially if they're made right. You get 2 of those and you're going to have a good day no matter what. Two Long Islands right there, you'll have a good day against your will. I'm saying, now you make me want one. That's why I like those twisted teas. Salted Ragu breaking news. Snooks is hot. This is from our hooligan contributor, Salted Ragu. Talk about it like we're at the White House. It's flipping through. Okay, I'm going to put this on the screen so you guys can see all these squirrely people. And then we'll be getting on to our next video here in a second. Mary, those were higher up border agents. Rank and file were told to go elsewhere for Biden's briefing. Yeah. Yeah, I figured they just had the people to clean the toilets and sweep the floors, hanging out with old man Walter, while everybody else who's important went and met the Orange Eagle. Let's see. What the hell? I never read the YouTube chat. I'm kind of glancing at it right now, but you guys don't even tag me, so I don't even know who's talking to me. Kevin, start working out. Yeah, you got to be fit to fight. Got to be fit to fight. What's up, Sage Pup? Happy freedom. Kevin, ICE is going to need more people when Trump's back in office. Yep. Oh, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll be bringing on all those ICE. He talks about it during the rallies and stuff. We have a Trump rally coming up tomorrow, sometime in the afternoon. I think President Trump's supposed to speak, I think 6. Snooks will let me know. He is speaking tomorrow, though. We'll be covering it. Kevin, what chat does Jeff read? I read all the chats. It just takes a long time because I got 6 of them I gotta read. Well, I don't got to. I choose to. You know what I don't understand is people talking shit about my hair. I think that's the dumbest shit ever. I don't know if it's because like I knew my whole life that I was going to get light on top because my dad's been that way and his dad's completely bald. I've only seen that guy once. But I knew my whole life that this was coming. Not worried about it at all. I had dreadlocks and dyed hair. I had shit shaved in my head. I've had braids. I've had cornrows. I've had twisties. I've had everything. I did it all because I knew one day I'd be losing my hair. So it doesn't mean anything to me. But the reality of it is that goofy shit you see people do where they get hair plugs and hair transplants and shit, you're just delaying the inevitable. There's nothing you can do about it. The little comb overs, those look like shit. Wearing a hat all the fucking time is something I can't do. I get too hot. So I don't care about all this. But when I see especially when I see dudes talking shit about my hair, it's like you want me to go style my hair so I'm sexy for you. The fuck is wrong with you? You weren't raised around other dudes? That's a weird thing to do, man. That's weird. You judge another guy's haircut. That's pretty fucking weird. It's like worrying about another man's money. But even when women do it, it's like, you understand that I can't do anything about that, right? So it's like saying that I suck because I'm white. I suck because I'm losing my hair on top. There's shit I can't help. This is how God made me. So you're kind of a piece of shit for doing it, but then it's even more funny to me because I really don't care. Like, I really don't care. Most of the people that say shit like that ain't got nothing going on. So I don't know. I just think that's hilarious. I just seen somebody say something stupid. I'm like, so dumb. It's like coming here to be like, hey, fuck you because you're white. And it's like, all right, man. That's cool. I'm just doing the news, man, but that's all right. You've been out of shape. That's cool. That's cool. Let's see. Cassandra, Long Island's get me messed up way too fast. Well, you gotta sip on them, Cassandra. You gotta give them a little sip. A little sip. It's better with conversation. Because if you go and you sit there and you get anxious and stuff, then you're like drinking on it all the time. And then next thing you know, you can't stand up. You gotta pee, but you gotta wait. Because you know if you stand up, you're gonna be staggering and people are gonna be wondering what's going on. You gotta sip on them. And at the press briefing, yeah, it is. It's like little chickens running around. Hair juicer. Everyone was seething in the Biden event. Yeah, because they're a bunch of monsters. The whole Biden team. They're just grody pedophiles. 10-man tequila makes women's clothes fall off. It depends. I've seen Native American women throw hands. They drink that tequila and they just start throwing hands and getting mad. And they fight dudes and shit. Especially if they're like half or more Native American. Oh, man. Like, I gotta leave. I start seeing Native American women drinking tequila and shit. I gotta leave because I got one of those faces and they'll be coming up being like, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? And I'm like, look, you better get away from me thinking I won't hit a woman. You can get the fuck out of here. I'm just kidding. I ain't never hit a woman, but man, that you hit me hard enough, I'm gonna hit you back. That's just all there is to it. Equal rights and equal lefts. Jeez. I don't know. I also don't want to hang out with women that have their clothes fall off alcohol either. I don't trust people like that. You get won over by a drink or two. Oh no. You get compromised over that. No, can't do it. Can't do it. SEPA KJP manages to get more people in a room than old man Walter. Well, yeah, because that's the only time these reporters get to smell a hoo-ha. Jesus loves us. I keep forgetting that YouTube's watching. I'm too funny today. It's killing me. It's killing me. All right, read through the chat, and then I don't know if KJP's coming to work today, so we might just have to get onto this next video. Salt Ragu, Mad Women, and Fireball. Hell no. Yeah, that's another one. Get punched in the face by a woman, it smells like cinnamon. You're like turned on, but holding your face at the same time. You don't know how to deal with it. It's a hard life. Cool Frog, catch the back of the hand. Yeah, exactly. DCat, you should go full-blown bald and get some turtle wax. Or should I say some tanning oil? Nah. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I honestly am not that worried about it. MU bust out the WD-40. Paul, worrying about hair is something girls do. What's important is that you don't look like a girl. That's true, Paul. That is true. Saldragu, your locks are getting long. I know, I was going to cut my hair yesterday and I got sidetracked. Ran out of time. And I don't trust myself. After 2 a.m., I don't cut my hair because my vision gets all blurry. And I'll be like, man, this looks all right. And then I'll show up to the live next day and I got patches all inside of my head. You guys never let me hear the end of it. You'd be calling Corinne in and stuff. Be like, oh no, Corinne pops in the chat. Jeff, what's going on with your hair? Just throwing up gang signs. Thanks, Pumpkin. I appreciate you. Wayward Son, I have a McDonald's sign. That's probably worth some money. I can't even afford to eat at McDonald's anymore. The way those prices are. Cool Frog. Hairline comes from mom's side though, not dad's. I've heard that my whole life, and then I got my dad's hairline. Like my mom's dad had a full head of hair. He died with a full head of hair. I don't know if that's lore or what that is. I've heard that my whole life while being living proof that that's not true. J Spray looked like a man to me. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think it's weird. And dudes are like, your hair doesn't look good. Like, well, I'm not going to fix it for you, buddy, because I don't like dudes, and I'm not trying to be hot on you, okay? I don't want you over here blowing kisses at me and shit. I don't like that. I ain't that kind of guy. You got to go over to TikTok for that kind of shit. Hang out on Instagram with the rest of the pedophiles. Let's see. Matthew, press briefing meltdown. I don't know what's going on, but I kind of feel like something was going on because all the reporters were up in that corner where KJP comes from. They had 4 cameras over there. It was probably 12 people packed into that corner. And I don't know what the hell they were looking at. You couldn't see it. Let's see. Yeah, TJ, we'll see if they ever get started. Corley, you can grow your hair long. It's all full gray. Do whatever makes you happy. It definitely ain't hurt nobody else, and fuck what everybody else thinks. Gotta do what makes you happy. You ain't got time to be worrying about other people's thoughts. Sled Dog, what about your grandmother's milkman? Well, I mean, that was 100 years ago, so I don't even know. You know, I have no idea. I have no idea. Matthew, KJP's wig fell off. They're having an emergency right now. I think I got the Amber Alert. Somebody stole it. Mary Todd, 1 ounce Fireball, 1 ounce lemon juice. It's called a dick cramp. I've never had one of those. I've never had one of those. I've had a pussy shot before. That was okay. It wasn't as fun as it sounds, but it was all right. Kind of like a cement mixer. Those are okay. You drink too many of those, you'd be throwing up milk and stuff, though. Those creamy liquors, they make you sick. What's up, Animated Adventure? Happy Freedom. What's up, Little Ripper? Appreciate you being here. Happy Freedom. Here, Juicer. Someone go Narcan KJP. She's out in the hallway twitching again. Smelling like Hunter Biden and shame. I heard she was sniffing the cocaine out there. What's up, Raja? Happy Freedom. Snooks, I have Cherokee blood in me. And you know I love Fireball. Snooks, that's why I see that's you can't hit me through the DMs and stuff. So I don't worry about it. That's why I just cheer you on. You're like, Fireball tonight. I'm like, hell yeah, get it, because you can't punch me through the chat. Snooks don't swear, but man, after 2 shots of tequila, she'll poke your eye out. I'm just kidding. Cool Frog, stay away from Fireball, especially if it does not say whiskey on the bottle. Why? What story do you have to tell about that? People love Fireball where I live. Lots of people drink it. You even get it in like your Christmas stockings and stuff. Little Ripper, you just got some Fireball? I'm going to be getting Twisted Teas and everything after this. You guys are getting me inspired today, and it is Freedom Friday. True American, the press secretary is the worst that we've had in history. I believe you. I believe you. She is terrible at her job. She would be terrible at her job if she took orders at Wendy's, let alone being the press secretary. She is trash. She is trash bandicoot. Well, hooligans, I'm done waiting on her. We're going to move on to this next video. Good Lord. This next one is a Ted Nugent, Jesse Waters video. I believe it's Jesse Waters. I'm trying to use my noggin here. It's titled, Trump Nailed It at the Border. This is a rising up of We the People. Just reading that title, it sounds like Ted Nugent. Sounds just like something Ted Nugent would say. All right, hooligans. Let's get this started.
Rock icon and American sporting legend Ted Nugent joins me now. Ted, you're pretty plugged into the scene. Can't you feel this bubbling up from the ground, this anger, this energy in the country?
Well, Jesse, it's not bubbling up. It's an active volcano. And I got to tell you, I ditto Stephen Miller and Dana Lash and you. The good people, the good families of America salute you, Jesse, because, boy, you are a truth, logic, and common sense hellraiser, and we've all determined that you deserve me, because that's the bottom line here. The people have got to rise up, and we see it happening all the time. That young man, well, young compared to me, who stood up and called the Athens mayor a liar because he is a liar. Laken Riley is merely the tip of an ugly, ugly situation where there's a lot of Laken Rileys out there. There's a lot of victims by our own government. Uncle Sam is now engineering recidivism, engineered recidivism at an unprecedented rate. And the explosion of violent crime is literally by the hands of Joe Biden and his criminal, treasonous administration. And I got to tell you, Donald Trump nailed it at the border today. I was down at the border with Sheriff Brad Coe of Kinney County and the great Colonel Allen West and Governor Greg Abbott and Pat Curry, who's running for 56th District here in Texas, and Parnell McNamara, the sheriff of McLennan County. There is a rising up of we the people who demand law and order, who demand legality. You know, they are not illegal immigrants. They're invaders. They're dangerous invaders. And the explosion of violent crime is a direct result of the policies of sanctuary cities under Joe Biden. Everybody knows this. I'm just repeating the obvious here, but thank you for having me on, because America is really pissed off, and we have to get back to God, family, and country, and that would take Donald Trump and guys like Pat Curry and Parnell McNamara.
Is it treason what the President of the United States is orchestrating?
Clearly. I mean, I'm a sheriff deputy up in Michigan. I've been for 39 years now. And every 4 years, I take that sacred constitutional oath. And those words are divine intervention. We, the people, an experiment in self-government, is the only one in the history of mankind. And what Joe Biden is doing is he's failing his number one moral and constitutional obligation to secure the United States of America. If that's not treason, I don't know what is.
Yeah, he broke the bank, he broke the border, he broke his oath, he broke his promise that he was only going to be a one-term president. It's terrible. Guy's got to go. It's a shame. He has to go. Ted Nugent, thanks so much for joining Jesse
Amen.
Waters Primetime. Next time I'm in Texas, we'll have to swing by.
Come on by. We'll shoot some pigs.
All right. It's a deal.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click.
I don't know. Like I said earlier on in the live, I feel like Jesse Waters and Ted Nugent, they don't collab very well. Ted Nugent is real authentic and real rustic and tries to be genuine, and then Jesse Waters is, you know, plastic and tries to be humorous but in a professional way, and I feel like those two personalities don't really fit together very well. But either way, Ted Nugent's right. He is right. He's right about it all, the border and all that stuff. He was there for the southern border convoy thing that we covered for a week that nobody talks about anymore. It's crazy how fast that dried up. They made $160,000 and then Sunday came and went and that was it. Nobody talked about it anymore. Crazy sauce. It was at least cool to see Ted Nugent play the national anthem. That was my favorite part about covering the southern border thing, the southern border convoy. Covering Ted Nugent. Well, KJP is still not here. Reporters are not seated. We got one more news video up, and then we got our funny video of the day. We're going to have to really stretch this out because KJP is kind of leaving us hanging here. Either way, we're going to read through the chat before we get through that. Make sure I don't have any reminders. No, I think we're good to go. Good to go. Our next one is Gavin Newsom criticized after donor benefits from exemption to California's $20 minimum wage. He made a donation to Newsom, and now that guy doesn't have to pay his employees $20. Must be nice. Cassandra, treasonous administration is a great term to describe the Biden administration. I agree. I agree, Cassandra. That's all they do. That's all they do is lie. And I don't know. I was say I don't know how people can support him, but I don't see anybody that does. I just see anti-Trumpers. I don't see anybody that's pro-Biden. Just really, really old people that have just made their mind up. They're just like, that's who I'm voting for, and they don't know why. They've just been voting Democrat the last 80 years, so they're just going to keep doing it. Those are the only people I see wearing like Biden hats or having Biden signs in the front yard. I don't see anybody that's an actual Biden supporter. And even when you do talk to people that are anti-Trumpers, they don't even know why they're anti-Trump. They just repeat shit that they heard on CNN or that they read on the internet that's completely false. And then as soon as you disrupt that, they wander off. And like we were talking about yesterday, there's so many street interviews where people get stopped and they are told, hey, have you heard all these bad things that Trump did? But then say things that Biden actually did. And watch these people being interviewed agree with the interviewer And then at the end of agreeing over and over again, they're like, yeah, well, that wasn't actually Trump that said it. That was actually Biden over the last 40 years. And then all of a sudden, people got places to be, and they can't be bothered to take the interview anymore. It's because their brains don't function. They don't even try to stimulate their brainstem. It's just, it's like an animal walking around. It's just not a thought going on behind those eyes. Just eating, sleeping, and shitting. That's all they're doing. Definitely not thinking. Reading through the chat. Matt, same here. I have the same exact hair loss as my father. We bald in the shape of a yarmulke. Yeah. My dad is just losing it all through here. Maybe it's already gone. I haven't seen him in a while. And I assume that's what's going to happen to me, but I'm not really worried about it. I feel bad for people who got to look at it more than anything else. It does not affect my self-esteem at all. And I've had 35 years, to prepare for this moment. So it doesn't affect me at all. It's more, you guys wish I was prettier, then, there's nothing I could do about that. Salt Ragu, the moon is fake. Oh, man. What the hell is this guy doing? KJP looks a little different. What are you doing, guy? Is he the press secretary today? Can we hear him? Are they getting the snipers ready?
Y'all don't have to wait too long.
Why is he holding up the white sign for? It's like, you see white people up here get real scared. Like, okay, whatever you say, guy. I wonder if that was the 2-minute warning. I mean, it was sad if that was, but either way, read through the chat. True American. Uh-oh, he's holding up a white sign. Easy meme material. Yep, exactly. Hopefully you guys work that out. Oh, they're pouring in now. We got a couple minutes. I'm thinking KJP is going to be up here. What's up, RK? Happy Freedom Friday. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't done so over on Rumble. Get us on the front page so we can all sit here together and make fun of KJP. Zero checking video balance. I don't know what that is. Cassandra, they can't handle the truth, which sucks. Because how do you make logical decisions when you deny yourself the truth? Yeah. Well, it's like they're choking themselves, but then complaining they can't breathe. It looks like we got Jackie today instead of Peter Ducey. Oh yeah, this is kicking off. Even the White House is live right now. All right, hooligans, it's that time. Share out the live if you haven't done so already. Let me get this location, everything taken care of in just a moment. Got the OG signing lady here. I wonder if Andy Dick will show up today. It's a good possibility. I wonder why it's all fuzzy looking. They need to work on their live. And maybe he surrendered. That's why he was holding up the white sign. It was actually the white flag. That's what it was. He was calling it quits. What's she wearing today? I called green. I think Cassandra said pink. You guys got 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds. Raja spent 5-10 minutes today on Rumble, hitting the thumbs up over and over. Well, I don't think it works like that, but I appreciate you going over there, Raja. You're awesome. And that's exactly what the signing person looks like. I might have to screenshot that and make that a thing. Snooks, you're calling men's pants and a men's top. Is that green? What color is that? Is it black?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Fucking Corinne, you made me look. I don't know what color that is. All right, let's do it.
Sorry, just give me a second.
It kind of looks green. I can't tell what color that is.
So I want to start by saying Happy Women's History Month and reaffirm this administration's commitment to advancing rights and opportunities for women and girls in the United States and around the world. This president...
What's a woman, KJP?
...historic legislation to advance gender equity including legislation to support women in the workplace, such as the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, the Speak Out Act, and the Pump for Nursing Mothers Act, and to ensure all people can live free from violence through the strengthening and reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. The president is also proud of having the most diverse group of women at the highest levels of government in U.S. history, including the first woman vice president and the first gender equal cabinet. But of course, we're celebrating this month at a perilous time for women. Our most fundamental freedoms are under relentless attack. Since the unprecedented and unconscionable dismantling of the rights enshrined in Roe v. Wade, we have seen an onslaught of abortion bans and other attacks on women's reproductive freedom. Look at what happened just this week. After the Alabama Supreme Court's ruling put IVF at risk and raised issues about whether it would be available in other states, congressional Republicans rushed to proclaim their support for IVF. On Wednesday, though, Senator Duckworth introduced a bill that would protect access to IVF in every state, and Senate Republicans blocked it. It's completely outrageous. President Biden and Vice President Harris believe every woman in this country should have the freedom to make the decision to have a child. That includes the 1 in 5 women struggling with infertility and who may need to rely on IVF. This is just another basic issue of reproductive freedom, now under attack. When the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, it paved the road for Republican elected officials to pursue their extreme agenda for families in Alabama and across the country. And no attempts to publicly rebrand can change the fact that Republican elected officials have spent decades trying to eliminate the constitutional right to choose and undermine reproductive freedom. President Biden and Vice President Harris will continue to fight to protect access to reproductive health care and call on Congress to restore the protections of Roe v. Wade in federal law for all women in every state. And more broadly, not just during this Women's Month history, but every day. We remain committed to continuing this important work in service of advancing the full participation of women, a foundational tenet to our democracy. And next, as you heard from President Biden earlier, today is an important milestone in ensuring access to mifepristone, a drug that has been approved by the FDA as safe and effective for more than 20 years, with major retail pharmacy chains newly certified to dispense this medicine. Many women will soon make the option to pick up their prescription at a local certified pharmacy, just as they would for any other medication. The administration continues to encourage all pharmacies that want to pursue this option to seek certification. In the face of relentless attacks on reproductive freedom by Republican elected officials, the president and the vice president.
Reproductive freedoms, the phrases they come up with.
The health care they need, including mifepristone.
It's not fucking health care.
Continue to defend the FDA's independence.
It's a big deal when they can't kill babies, but it's not a big deal when they got men and women's sports, bathrooms, and locker rooms. Get your shit together, KJP.
For the 2 lives lost in Texas as a result of the historic wildfires impacting the region. We are also thinking of the thousands of residents who have had to evacuate, many losing everything they own as a result of these ongoing fires. We remain grateful to the first responders on the ground who continue to put themselves into harm's way to protect people and save lives. With over 1 million acres burned, this is the largest wildfire in the history of Texas, and unfortunately, this fight is not over. But as the president said when he was in Texas yesterday, the Biden-Harris administration is doing everything possible to help the people and communities devastated by these fires. Hundreds of federal firefighters have been deployed to help fight the blaze, along with critical fire suppression equipment, and FEMA has provided financial assistance to ensure Texas and Oklahoma have the resources they need to fight these fires and keep people safe. We continue to encourage those in the affected areas to remain vigilant and heed the warnings of local officials, especially if you are ordered to evacuate. As always, we stand ready to provide further support as needed. And finally, Yesterday, as you all know, the president traveled to Brownsville, Texas, and heard directly from the Border Patrol, asylum officers, and immigration enforcement officials about operational realities on the ground. These officials emphasized the need for additional resources to secure the border and to make our asylum system fairer and faster. That is why months ago, President Biden ordered his team to negotiate in good faith with a bipartisan group of senators to deliver significant policy changes and additional resources to the border.
They don't need resources. They need the green light to make the arrest. That's it. They need permission from you fucking people.
An immigration agreement in decades. But once again,
Side Dog, who started those Texas fires? KJP, when she's down there munching carpet, you know, you rub two carpets together, I guess sparks happen. You see how dry that hair is.
on solutions that would deliver for the frontline personnel and deliver for the American people. But elsewhere, the American people heard a much different story when congressional Republicans rejected the bipartisan border security agreement because, by their own admission, former President Trump thought it would hurt him politically. They showed the American people that to them, partisan politics is more important than our border security. When Governor Abbott chooses to use migrants as political pawns and leave them by the side of the road in the dead of winter, he shows Republicans are more interested in
the dead of winter in Texas.
Changes at the border. We have a bipartisan border security agreement that is supported by the Border Patrol Union.
It's not like they're up here in Michigan. Calm down, douchebag. Jeez.
And the bipartisan South Texas Alliance of Cities. It is time for Republicans to stop blocking that agreement, put politics aside, and provide border officials with the tools and resources they need to secure the border. With that, Admiral John Kirby is here to give us an update on what's going on in the Middle East. Admiral?
We don't care. We don't care. Save us the talk.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Eat shit, Captain Hot Dog Fingers.
About the tragic and alarming event in northern Gaza yesterday, in which many Palestinian civilians lost their lives while seeking humanitarian aid and assistance amid a dire situation on the ground there. We express our deepest condolences to the families of those who were killed, and of course, all those who were hurt as well. As you know, we've asked the government of Israel to investigate, and it's our assessment that they're taking this seriously and they are looking into what occurred so as to avoid tragedies like this from happening again. This event underscores the importance, we believe, of expanding and sustaining the flow of humanitarian assistance into Gaza, since so much of it is in need. And by no means should what happened yesterday preclude or prevent additional humanitarian assistance from getting in. I think, as you all know, the United States remains the largest provider of humanitarian assistance into Gaza, and you heard directly from the president today that we need to do more, and the United States will do more. As a matter of fact, as the president just announced, the United States will carry out airdrops of aid into Gaza in coordination with our international partners, particularly Jordan, in the coming days. We're also going to redouble our efforts to open up
Is that how they did the fires? The DEWs?
Amounts of humanitarian assistance by sea, hopefully large amounts by sea. This is, of course, in addition to expanding deliveries by land, which we have been keenly focused on now for many months. We'll continue to push Israel to facilitate more trucks going in and more routes being open so that more aid can get to more people. We're going to continue to pull out every stop to get more aid to people who desperately need it. Now, as you all know, a deal that would trigger a 6-week ceasefire is currently on the table. In addition to the additional flow of aid that would come with that deal, we're continuing to work to make sure that we can get the hostages out as well and to see a reduction in the violence. With the fighting stopped, aid will be able to flow more freely. And we hope at an increased level. And of course, the hostages, starting with women, the elderly, and the wounded, can be released in stages and returned to their families. And again, we're going to keep our shoulder to the wheel on that and work that very, very hard in coming days. Now, of course, as you all know, President Biden is glad to welcome Prime Minister Meloni of Italy to the White House today for a bilateral meeting to reaffirm the strong bilateral relationship that we have with Italy. In fact, the meeting just started. Italy is the president of the G7 this year, President Biden has been looking forward to the opportunity to coordinate with Prime Minister Maloney on their shared priorities for the G7 and the NATO leaders summits that are happening this summer. As you heard from the President just a little bit ago, the two leaders will, of course, discuss shared challenges on a range of global challenges that include humanitarian assistance for Palestinians, as well as the need to prevent regional escalation in the Middle East and to protect international shipping in the Red Sea. The leaders will also underscore their commitment to continue to support Ukraine as it confronts Russian aggression. The President will, of course, raise the efforts that we've been pursuing to see our supplemental funding approved by Congress. The President appreciates Prime Minister Maloney's leadership on all those issues, and he looks forward to a very good discussion with her. That was some questions.
Just to triple check, when the President said we were airdropping to Ukraine twice, he meant Gaza, correct? He just misspoke.
He was referring to Gaza.
And can you talk about how the U.S. ensures that the airdropped aid gets to the people who needs it and doesn't end up in the hands of Hamas?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that question, actually. Having seen these kinds of operations myself over many years, there's few military operations that are more complicated than humanitarian assistance airdrops. This is a tough military mission to do because so many parameters have to be exactly right. We're going to pursue this the way we would pursue any such operation, carefully. We know we have to move with a sense of alacrity. We're alive to the need, but we're going to do this in concert with our Jordanian partners. And again, the planning will be robust on this. That said, I think, I know that we will learn.
We know you don't think at all. You ain't got to tell us that. We knew that before you even got on stage, buddy.
And with each one, I think we'll learn more and we'll get better at them. It's very difficult. It is extremely difficult to do an airdrop in such a crowded environment as is Gaza. Very, very densely populated, a lot of people confined to small spaces. So you want to do it in a way that you can get it to as close as you can to the people in need, but not in a way that puts them in any danger. And so the Pentagon will be doing a raft of planning on this. They'll work their way through that. But I do want to stress that we fully expect that the third and fourth and fifth one won't look like the first and second one. We'll learn and we'll try to improve.
And are you able to be more precise than coming days as to when the airdrops will start?
I can just tell you in coming days, as the President said, I don't have an exact delivery schedule for you, but we're not waiting around, and the Pentagon's working on this very, very hard.
Thank you, Karine. Thank you, Admiral. What are the risks associated with an airdrop like this?
Well, my goodness. First of all, the biggest risk is making sure that nobody gets hurt on the ground. And so you got to locate out areas to drop that you know will be safe for people so that they don't become victims of the drop itself. I mean, when you're dropping out of an airplane, again, it depends on what you're dropping. In this case, the first deliveries will be food. Most likely the MREs, the portable food that the military uses. And so you want to be able to get it, again, in a place that's safe, nobody's getting hurt on the ground. And then you want to make sure that it's in a location that is also accessible to aid organizations to help distribute that food, so that you want to see it as best you can, and it may not be possible in Gaza, but as best you can, a presence on the ground to help with the distribution, so that the drop itself doesn't become a scene or a site of insecurity and instability, people rushing it and getting hurt and trying to get to it. And then lastly, the big challenge is making sure that it's physically in a geographic location that is close to people that are most in need. So there's an awful lot that goes into that. And of course then, there's the whole air component of that, the weather and the winds and the need for the pilots and the aircraft to be safe as well. I mean, this is not, this isn't like an area of a humanitarian disaster such as an earthquake or a hurricane site. This is a war zone. So there's an added element of potential danger to the pilots and the aircraft, and we have to factor that all into.
Can you talk about the timing of the airdrops and why the U.S. hasn't considered or hasn't done one before now, given that this need for aid is not new?
We've been working on the idea for airdrops here for a little while. The idea of thinking about through whether we need to do this. But again, it's not the kind of thing you want to just do in a heartbeat. You want to think this. You want to think it through carefully, and we've been doing that. But certainly, the need is much more acute here in recent weeks. And again, we want to answer that. We had tried, and we still are trying, to get the ground movement increased. And that's another reason why we're working so hard on this hostage deal, because it will give us some breathing space to increase that level of stuff on the ground. But obviously, it just hasn't. We haven't been able to meet the need. For all the work we've done to open up Kerem Shalom and work with the Israelis to increase the level, it's not meeting the need, and we recognize that.
Thank you. How sustainable of an option does the president see these airdrops as being? And also, was there any communication between the president and Prime Minister Netanyahu before this announcement today?
I don't have any conversations with the Prime Minister to speak to. We obviously have been talking to our Israeli counterparts about this. This is not going to come as a surprise to them that we're considering doing this. In fact, they did one themselves a week or so ago, and certainly we were mindful of that. They kept us informed. So no surprise to the Israelis that we're doing this. As for sustainability, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. What I can tell you is that, in terms of how long, but I can tell you that this first one coming in a few days will not be the last one. It will be part of a larger, longer, sustained effort to increase the flow of humanitarian assistance. I want to make another point, and that's it's not just you will see additional airdrops, but we're also, as the president said, working on whether there can be a maritime component to this. Is there a way to use shipping, maritime shipping, and to try to get aid in from the coast, as well as continuing our work to increase the flow on the ground. I mean, the trucks are really, although it's a dangerous way to get aid in, and tragically we saw that yesterday, it's also a very effective way of getting it in scale. Now you can do that through the maritime effort too, which is why we're going to do that.
Did the maritime option start being considered after the Gaza attack, or has that been?
That's been on the table before yesterday's attack. Yeah.
Thanks, Admiral. Can you just talk about the risks and how it actually works when it gets airdropped on the ground? As you say, it's very dense, so who takes the lead to actually distribute it, make sure it's the right person? Just how does it work on the ground?
We're working through all that, the modalities of that right now. I mean, you want to make sure that to the maximum degree possible, you've got aid organizations and partners on the ground that can help with the distribution, the collection of that and the distribution of that aid, and to help us get it to the right people. They're the ones on the ground. Whether it's the UN, whether it's the World Food Program and others, they know where the needs are.
And can you talk about the size and scale of the impact here? Is it equivalent to how many trucks, one airdrop, for instance?
I mean, look, on one airdrop, which will be multiple pallets of material. You're not just talking about one pallet, but you'll have multiple pallets, depending on the size of the aircraft that we end up using and how much we drop. It can be certainly significant in terms of the size and scale and scope. And the one advantage that it has over trucking is that it's pretty quick. I mean, it can get to need, it can get to location pretty quickly. And as I said, we'll try to do this in a sustainable way over time. It'll be a supplement to, not a replacement for, moving things in by ground.
In terms of the maritime corridor, when do you think that could start, and what are the key risks as you assess how to implement that?
Again, we're at the early stages right now, working our way through this. There's going to be a security component to that. You want to make sure if you do it, that same thing, that you're getting the aid to people that need it, and that the folks that are getting it ashore can be safe. It is a war zone. And, again, you're talking about doing things in the maritime environment, weather and other external conditions, things you can't control, obviously play a role. So we're still at the beginning stages of working through what that's going to look like. We are we're much further along in terms of the being able to execute airdrops than we are a maritime corridor.
Thanks, Green. Thanks, Admiral. You mentioned earlier that you've been working on the idea of airdrops for some time. Were the tragic events in Gaza yesterday, did they help? Did they encourage the president to accelerate that decision? Did that sort of push him to push that decision forward?
Again, we were working on this idea now again for some time here, knowing that we weren't meeting the need totally through convoys. I think what yesterday's event underscores, and certainly underscored for the president, is the need to
I'm trying to think of something to say about this fucking guy without getting in trouble.
alternative means of getting humanitarian assistance into Gazans. It certainly underscores the importance of that.
How much is old man Walter paying this guy?
I want to be clear, this isn't about replacing trucks. It's not about replacing ground routes in. It's about supplementing those ground routes. And the last thing I'd say is it also underscored for the president how vitally important it is for us to get this deal in place, this 6-week ceasefire, so that we can increase the aid.
When did he make the decision? He made the decision yesterday, after the final decision. Did he make that yesterday after these events in Gaza?
I don't have an exact TikTok of when he actually, hit go, but in recent days, he certainly made it clear that he wanted to move forward in that direction.
You spoke about U.S. asking Israel to investigate the events yesterday. Just want to understand why the U.S. believes Israel can do a good job investigating itself.
Well, as I said in my opening statement, we do think that the indications are that they're taking this seriously. You saw them, I think, put out a statement from their IDF spokesman last night, walking through their initial assessments.
Matthew, you killed me with that. Sleeper cell Eddie.
We understand that they're still looking at this. And there have been examples in the past where they have investigated incidents and have been very honest and upfront about mistakes they've made at the IDF.
God, everything I'm thinking is so funny, but it's going to get taken the wrong way if I say it.
Let's see what they come up with. Let's see what they learn.
All I can say is this guy is here checking on his investment with old man Walter, and the signing lady needed a break, and they were like, "Hey, Wong Hole, you wanna come do the thing?" He was like, "Yeah, I guess. Old man Walter, you stay where I can see you."
As soon as possible, because of the situation on the ground, because it's so dire, because people are so desperate. We obviously want to make sure that appropriate steps are taken as soon as possible, so that something like yesterday can't happen again.
And the president said yesterday that he expects the events to disrupt the talks in Qatar. Do you have any updates on how this could potentially impact those talks? Are there any updates?
I think it's too soon to know right now that the talks are ongoing, negotiations are ongoing. We still believe that they're moving in the right direction, but I think it's too soon to know whether what happened yesterday is going to have a practical effect on it. I can tell you that we're working very, very hard on this, as evidenced by the president's phone call yesterday with the Emir of Qatar and the President of Egypt. I mean, that should indicate to you just how hard we're working on this. And we're still hopeful that we'll be able to get there, hopefully soon.
I think you've gotten at this a little bit. Can you just articulate why the U.S. cannot simply just send this aid in overground into Gaza? What are the holdups on the Israeli side by sending the trucks in? Why does it have to be by air?
Kevin, it doesn't have to just be by air. In fact, as I said earlier, the idea of airdrops is to supplement the delivery on the ground. And even though you can pack an awful lot into a military aircraft, you can't replicate the size and scale and scope of a convoy of 20 or 30 trucks. It's still the best way to get the maximum amount of assistance in over the shortest period of time. So the airdrops would be a supplement to that. And as we have said many times, the process that has been set up that the Israelis have been willing to work through is having an inspection regime of these trucks before they go into Gaza, and recognize routes for how they're going to get to people in need, and routes that are informed by our aid partners on the ground.
What leverage does the president have in convincing the Israelis to allow more trucks in, and what levers is he willing to pull on that front?
This isn't about pulling levers and trying to hold something over. Prime Minister Netanyahu, the war cabinet, they have been willing to work with us on getting aid and assistance in to Gaza. I want to be, as I said earlier, clear that it's not been enough. Not been enough to the need, certainly not been enough for the speed that's required. We recognize that, and that's part of the conversations that we've been having with our Israeli counterparts, but we urged them, for instance, to open up Kerem Shalom as a second route. They've done that. Now, has it been perfect? No. There's been some protest activity in recent weeks that shut it down temporarily. We worked our way through that. There's still a lot of hard work to do. The Israelis have tried airdrops themselves, and they're supportive of our efforts to do the same.
What about all the other crossings, though, in Israel into Gaza? Why aren't they allowing aid?
There's other potential crossings, you're right, into Gaza. And again, we continue to talk to the Israelis about the practicality of that.
Hey, John. Was part of the consideration into moving into this airdrop plan and the maritime plan, I mean, there had been delays for ground shipments of flour just a couple weeks ago, and Israel had been holding that up. So is part of this because Israel hasn't been a reliable partner as much as the U.S. would like to see in terms of getting aid in?
Part of this is very much because not enough aid is getting in, and not enough people are getting the food, the water, the medicine, and the fuel that they need. That's what's driving this. We recognize the situation's dire. We recognize the need is great, and it hasn't been filled simply by the use of ground convoys.
And is this a way to kind of get around the need for Israel to sort of go through these checkpoints when it's on the ground convoys?
This is a way to get more aid to more people quickly.
And I know you said you don't have an exact timeline, but is there a plan for this aid to be dropped over the course of weeks? Is it months? What does that?
I would say certainly coming weeks. I don't want to. I can't get too predictive right now. We haven't even done the first one. I can assure you there won't be just one. This won't be a one and done kind of thing. There will be additional airdrops. We will learn. We will get better at them over time. But I'd say certainly coming weeks.
Thank you. Will the U.S. continue to supply weapons to Israel after what happened yesterday in Gaza?
We are still helping Israel with their needs to defend themselves.
Thank you, Corinne. John, just a little bit of clarity on the maritime corridor that the president mentioned. Is this the same kind of idea that was floated in Israel in December of having it come through Cyprus? And if I may ask the same questions that my colleague have been trying to get to, did what happened in Gaza City yesterday reaffirm the president's suspicion or frustration about the fact that Israelis cannot guarantee the delivery of aid to Palestinians and hasten his decision to airdrop?
So on your first question, certainly I think, well, the discussion that we've been having about a potential maritime option is informed by recent conversations about the potential use of Cyprus, for instance, as a potential way to maybe stage some of that. Again, I don't want to get into too many specifics now. This idea is still in its infancy. I mean, there's a lot of work that has to be done, so I'm not guaranteeing you that, for instance, Cyprus would be used in any way. I'm just saying that the discussion we're at now certainly was informed by previous discussions with partners in the region about what that could look like. But again, we've got a long way to go here, a lot of work on the maritime front to get this done. And as for your second question, again, the idea of airdrops is not a new one. It's something that we have floated in the interagency before. Yesterday's event, I think, underscores the need to find more creative ways of getting assistance in faster and at greater scale, and we're going to continue to do that. Again, I want to stress this. I know you're getting tired of me saying this, but airdrops would supplement, not replace, ground movements.
And can I just continue on Gaza, but on a separate note, I've been noting that administration officials have been repeating the line that Israel is a sovereign country and the U.S. does not dictate to them. Matt Miller says this, Olivia, I think, said this yesterday at the gaggle. So help me understand here, because for the past couple of weeks, you've been telling us that you have been successful in affecting change in Israeli behavior. You just mentioned it again in terms of opening of Kerem Salam. But I'm seeing a shift, and I don't know if this is correct or not, and if you can explain what's behind the shift. Is the administration trying to distance itself from what Israel is doing in terms of its conduct, or is it reflective of the pessimism of your inability to close the gap between what President Biden wants Prime Minister Netanyahu to do and what's actually happening on the ground? Can you explain if there is a shift?
I think maybe you're reading a little bit more into what we've been saying. Reiterating that Israel's a sovereign country is not. It's not a shift at all. It's a truth. When we don't dictate terms to other sovereign countries. Israel is also a great friend and an ally, and we can have conversations with them that in some ways you can't have with other countries because you are friend and an ally, and you can be tough, and you can be candid, and you can be forthright with Israeli leaders, and we're not afraid to do that. And but no, there's no shift here. I mean, make no mistake, as I've said many times just today, not enough aid is getting into people that need it. It's not happening fast enough. It's not happening in the quantity that we need, and we're trying to act to the need. We're trying to behave and change and be more creative to meet the desperate need of the people of Gaza.
Thanks, John. You've laid out now a couple of times the practical challenges that will be part of this airdrop, or these airdrops. And I'm kind of curious about that, because those are risks that the United States now has to take on for itself, conducting those airdrops. The reason those risks now fall to the United States is because Israel is starving those people. So why are we still so supportive of Israel when it is the one that is creating the problem that the United States now has to try to ameliorate?
Israel itself has tried to help with the delivery of humanitarian assistance. As I said, they tried airdrops themselves just a week or so ago on their own accord.
So why are so many people still starving?
It's a war zone, and there's nowhere else for them to go. It's not like in some other conflicts where they can easily,
where they could just walk in across the southern border.
Forget how this started, okay? There'd be no need for airdrops. Hamas hadn't chosen to break what was a ceasefire in place on the 6th of October. So let's not forget how this started. There is a need. Many people are in desperate need of food, water, medicine, and fuel. And the United States was and remains and will continue to be the leading provider of humanitarian assistance to them. And we take that responsibility seriously.
Continue to be the main supporter of the people who are causing that assistance to be necessary.
We also know and recognize that Israel has a right to defend itself against a still viable threat. Again, please, if you haven't done it, I encourage you to go online and read the 2017 manifesto of Hamas. I know you're smiling, but you should do it. Because if you don't have any... Wait, let me finish. This is an organization that has military capabilities and has every intent of wiping Israel and the Israeli people off the map. That has to be unacceptable to everybody. Mr. Sinwar chose to start this war. There was a ceasefire in place. He broke it.
Do you think that the Israelis were defending themselves legitimately when they killed 100 of
There
yesterday?
had been too many people killed over the course of this conflict. The president has said that himself. Secretary Austin said it in testimony again yesterday. Each civilian life, Palestinians certainly included in that, each one is a tragedy and should be avoided.
Sorry. Thank you. Last night, the IDF said that it only fired warning shots into the crowd, and the majority of deaths were caused by trampling. As of now, does the administration believe that assessment to be accurate?
We don't have enough information to verify those comments. That's why I said we want to see an investigation. We want to see more work done to figure out what happened.
Admiral, the U.S. was one of several countries after the October 7th attack that cut funding for the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, given reports in Israel suggesting that there were people there with ties to Hamas. That obviously is the agency really that would be in a different situation, responsible for bringing a lot of the humanitarian aid. Is the administration rethinking cutting off funding for that organization at this point, given your assessment that not enough aid is getting in?
No, the suspension of assistance to UNRWA.
I don't see Simon, and I also don't see the racist lady that can't seem to ask a question that's not based around skin color. I can't think of what her name is.
Other aid organizations like the World Food Program who are on the ground to assist with distribution as well. Look, 13 some odd thousand UNRWA employees on the ground in Gaza. The vast majority of them do great work, do it with good intent. And as I said many times, you don't want to impugn the entire...
As I said many times,
they're investigating this. We expect a full, thorough, credible, transparent...
This guy's a moron.
Those employees that might have been involved in supporting Hamas, and that those who were need to be held properly accountable.
Seems like not having them funded, though, and having to rely on other organizations, now having to resort to airdrops, that has complicated the situation.
I would remind, as I said earlier, that the unallocated funds for UNRWA that we suspended were actually not intended for Gaza. They had been earmarked for work in Jordan.
Thank you. I've got two questions.
First, the House Foreign Affairs Committee is threatening to hold Secretary Blinken in contempt if the State Department does not hand over material concerning the Afghanistan after action reports, specifically some internal notes. What is the White House's response to that contempt threat? And then did the White House ever direct the State Department to hold up on releasing those documents?
I'm going to refer you to the State Department on that.
So the committee says that in their interactions with the State Department referred them to a White House lawyer. So can you tell us anything?
Yeah, talk to the State Department about that.
Then a follow-up about Gaza. You mentioned a second ago that the ceasefire was broken when Hamas attacked Israel. Are you suggesting that Hamas bears ultimate responsibility for the current and ongoing humanitarian crisis there?
The war that they're in right now was started by Mr. Sinwar. He's the one who chose to break a ceasefire that was in place on the 6th of October. Now, obviously, you got to get that? Okay. Obviously, in the conduct of this war, and we've been very honest about this too, that there have been too many innocent people killed through Israeli Defense Force operations in Gaza. We've been very honest about that. We want to see zero. So certainly, we recognize that the prosecution of efforts against Hamas have caused civilian damage, civilian casualties, and we don't want to see anybody else hurt, and that's why we continue to work with our Israeli counterparts to be as careful and discriminate as possible.
Thanks, sir.
Oh, thank you. So I have a question regarding UK and ECOWAS. Do you agree with the ECOWAS, the recently lifted sanction on UK? And I wanted to find out whether you agree with that being lifted, and if you talk to the President Bazoum of UK also.
Ma'am, you're going to have to let me take that question if you don't mind. I'm not prepared to answer that one, and I owe you an answer, and I'll get you one.
All right, we'll wrap it up. Go ahead, final question. Admiral, there was a pretty scathing report out this morning from the State Department IG's office about U.S. Ambassador to Singapore, Jonathan Kaplan. It alleged, among other things, that he had poor relationships with local officials that were undercutting U.S. strategy there. He had poor relationships with staff, and that he ran afoul of some finance and other rules. Wondering if you can state whether the president still has confidence in the ambassador, and if he shares any concerns about how his performance has hobbled U.S. efforts in the region.
The president understands that the State Department's taken this IG report seriously. As far as we understand, they've already started to implement many of the recommendations that the IG has put forward. Obviously, the president always wants his representatives overseas or at home to act and to lead and to manage people with dignity and respect. That's his expectation for all of us. But he's comfortable that the State Department has taken this seriously.
All right, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Admiral. Have a great weekend.
Russian nuclear threat.
Thanks. All right, again.
Just one quick one. Can I have the White House's reaction to the CDC deciding to drop the 5-day isolation guidance on COVID? Just your reaction to that, and also how that may or may not affect protocol here at the White House?
So as far as protocol here, I don't have any update for you at this time. We'll certainly have more to come soon. What I do want to say is that this announcement actually reflects the progress that we've made under this administration over the past 3 years to protect communities against COVID. And it's not by accident. It is because of the policy that this president has put forth. Because when the president walked into this administration, understanding COVID was obviously one of the crises that we had to deal with, he took action and put forth a comprehensive strategy to move forward past the American Rescue Plan that only Democrats voted for, not one Republican voted for. And it got to get the economy back on track, open up schools, and also make sure that we had a comprehensive strategy in making sure Americans got shots in arms, making sure there were masks when we needed them, giving the Americans opportunity to actually deal with this pandemic. So now we're coming out of this pandemic. Things have changed. We are in a different place, which is good.
We're still coming out of it?
Obviously, when we
They're going to say that bullshit forever.
to this administration. COVID no longer controls our lives.
Last May, they ended the Emergency Act, but we're still coming out of it. Okay.
Respiratory viruses, and that's what the CDC guidance actually tells us as it relates to here in the White House and this campus.
Fuck the CDC. Fuck you too, KJP. And fuck YouTube for getting mad at me. I know you guys are already hovering over me with that hammer.
Trump to work with him to try and get that border deal through Congress. Why did the president decide to do that? Does he believe that Trump could be a trusted partner in this situation?
Look, you know this president. If you watch this president very closely, the last 3 years, shoot, if you watched him his entire career, he believes in going across the aisle and working in a bipartisan way. And when Republicans decide to do that, when they come and work with us, we actually have gotten some really big...
They don't need to come pay your ransom, KJP. They're not paying the border ransom. Sorry.
Helps veterans and their family. You think about the bipartisan infrastructure legislation. There have been things during this administration that have been historic and will change Americans' lives that we have been able to do in a bipartisan way. Let's think about the gun violence, the first piece of gun violence legislation that was done in a bipartisan way. We hadn't seen that in 30 years. So, look, the president, it's not about politics for him. I think when he put out the olive branch yesterday, as you just stated at the end of his speech, it was to show this wasn't about politics. This is about the American people. And what we continue to see is Republicans not doing that. They keep letting politics get in the way. So the president, as he does many times, when he wants to work on behalf of the American people, he wants to see it done in a bipartisan way. And not just him. We've learned and we've seen that that's what the American public wants to see as well.
Is there anything you can share about what he learned from his visit in Texas yesterday and how it might inform potential executive action he'd take?
Well, look, as far as executive action, I've been very clear about that from here, from this podium, when you all have asked me. We always obviously look at every scenario, every option. We evaluate all of those things. But we do believe, which is why the president went to the border, to Brownsville, Texas yesterday, that the way to move forward, the bottom line is we need to take action and move forward with the bipartisan agreement that came out of the Senate. That is the way that we believe we can actually deal with what the challenges at the border. We can deal with the broken immigration system. There is no executive action that would be able to do what this negotiation came out in a bipartisan way. Look, what he was able to see. First of all, he was eager to hear from the folks on the ground who deal with this every day. As you know, the mayor of Brownsville is Republican himself and has to deal with this as well in his community, and he wanted to see, you know, what happens on the ground. He also wants to see, continue to see that while we're moving forward, it's done in a fairly humane way, right? In a fair and humane way, and that's one of the reasons that he went down there, and he wanted to. It's done he wanted to see what do the officials on the ground had to say, and it was clear to him that they desperately need resources. They need more to do their jobs, to be able to do it in a fair and humane way. They need more to be able to do their jobs and not see Republicans get in the way and continue to vote against what we're asking for, more resources, and not actually do the job. And actually,
it's funny that they're always shitting on Republicans, saying that they're never doing anything, but at the same time, everything is their fault.
Resources, and he's going to continue to be really steadfast and speak very clearly to the American people about what's happening and why we are not able to get this bipartisan deal that came out of the Senate done because Republicans continue to reject it.
Oh, thanks, Green.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Well, I'll get you, Zolan.
Just a quick question on mifepristone. CVS and Walgreens have started, are expected to start selling the pill in several states this month, and we understand the president, of course, has encouraged a lot of other pharmacies to follow suit. Are there any other retail pharmacies that have expressed interest since the White House, released that? Or do you have any update on that?
Look, I will let pharmacies decide on their own. Obviously, they can apply for certification. We encourage them to apply for certification. So I don't have any additional list to share with you, but obviously this administration has a strong record on partnering with pharmacies on a range of issues, and we're going to continue to support pharmacies, and if they are interested in certainly in that certification, and that's what we want to see. We want to make sure. The reason why this happened is because this administration has been committed in making sure that women have the ability and the right to make a decision, right? The ability, the right to get what they need as they're trying to figure out what is necessary for them. I mean, it is their decision, right? These are personal decisions that women have to make, and they should be able to have access to this. And so that has been our priority since Dobbs' decision almost 2 years ago.
And these pills are not available by mail yet. Is that sort of the logical next step here? Is that what the White House or the administration, try to facilitate?
So I don't want to get ahead of what could be potentially next. I think this is a big deal, right? This is a big deal when you have these two major pharmacies that are now able to move forward. We're going to let other pharmacies decide if they want to move forward with certification. We're going to work very closely with these pharmacies and partner with them, but I just don't have anything else as to the next steps.
And I have one follow-up on the president's trip to the border yesterday. We understand that a lot of migrants fly to Mexico and then cross the border, and we don't know if that was on, discussing that particular topic was on the president's agenda. I mean, was anything discussed on whether Mexico should be vetting more of these migrants, or, any discussions yesterday on this topic during the president's visit?
So look, as you know, we've had continued diplomatic conversations with Mexico and other countries in the region, right? This is not just about the United States. This is a regional situation, an issue that we have dealt with for the past 3 years, actually under this administration, trying to do it in a diplomatic way. I don't have anything else new to share. We talk to the government of Mexico pretty regularly. You've seen some of our officials here.
Do you talk to the cartel? They're the ones that are running everything.
Mexico and met with the Mexican president on trying to figure out how do we deal with the migration issue. And I think the most important thing to take out from the president's trip is that he wanted to make it very clear to the American people. There is actually a piece of paper, right, negotiation, a proposal out there that was done in a bipartisan way, supported by the Border Patrol Union, supported by U.S. Chamber of Commerce and others that you don't normally see. And we have a bipartisan deal that came out of the Senate. Republicans listened to the former president, and they have rejected it. They put politics in front of actually getting a solution for the American people. That's kind of where we are.
They put politics in front of politics.
And push.
Good one, KJP. Fucking idiot.
Can you give us an update on the president's State of the Union preps? I know he's up at Camp David for a while this weekend. Is he bringing a team with him up there? Do you know if he's enlisted any outside writers to help him on it? Where does that sort of stand?
So look, certainly we'll have more to share, more color to provide on the president's preparation for the State of the Union. What I can say is what the president wants to do, and what you will hear during the State of the Union is that he'll lay out his historic achievements over the past 3 years and what he's been able to do on behalf of the American people. You'll hear him talk about how he is on the side of the American people. That's important. The president has done more in 3 years in this administration than most president has done in 2 terms. I mean, that is what we've seen. Historic legislation after historic legislation, whether it's done in a bipartisan way or whether only Democrats voted for it. That's what this president has been able to do. And now, he's going to also talk about how we want to protect and implement those pieces of legislation, whether it's the Inflation Reduction Act or the Chips and Science Act. We have to implement.
I forgot about the Chips and Salsa Act.
That's been done out of Washington, D.C. Again, whether it's a bipartisan fashion.
So for real, he doesn't care about us. No, they don't care about us at all. They want us to pay the stupid countries overseas and let strangers into the country, and they want us to get the fuck out of the way and stop interfering. That's what they want.
As I've been talking about, uniting the country. Those are the things that the president's going to put at the forefront, certainly of his message to the Americans.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here, Hurley girl.
And so I would say stay tuned for more.
And last year's speech had sort of an unusual amount of audience interaction. How much of that?
How did we get Wish Peter Ducey?
I mean, look, I think what you should take out of what happened last year is, We were not expecting that. The president was not expecting audience interaction, as you just stated. And you saw the president was pretty sharp in responding back to those Republicans in front of him and making them promise something that they didn't think they would promise on protecting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. And I think it was a moment that the American people really, truly appreciated. I can't speak to what Republicans are going to do this year. I can tell you that the president is ready. He's ready to take that moment to talk about the State of the Union, to lay out his future vision of how he sees this next year and beyond, and what is it that he wants to get done and continue to build on historic accomplishments. And I think that's going to be really important to see. Go ahead, Zola.
Thank you. So yesterday at the border, the president once again called for legislative action at the border. A month ago, he repeated that, but he also said that he was willing to take action himself. Is the administration, could we expect to see him take action by himself, whether that be executive actions or an executive order?
I mean, I kind of just answered this a moment ago. Look, we always evaluate options. We're going to evaluate options. That is something that we're going to do here, as we've done with any big issue that has come in front of the president. We evaluate all options. We have not made any decisions yet. That is kind of where we are. And about any additional actions, to your point, executive actions. But ultimately, what we believe, the bottom line is, no executive action, no matter how aggressive it is going to do what came out of the Senate in a bipartisan way, that the president worked with those members for a couple of months.
What are the factors that the White House is weighing here? Well, I understand if there's a preference for legislative action. The Homeland Security Secretary was saying that's less likely to run into legal trouble. But I guess if it's the preference for legislative action, what tells the White House that there's any chance that this bipartisan bill actually has a chance of passing at this point?
I mean, look, we've been here before, right? We've been here, and what I mean by that is there have been some bipartisan bills that have come out of this under this presidency, right, in the past 3 years, where people thought it was dead and it wasn't going anywhere, and it moved forward, right? And so the president has to be optimistic. He has to lay down what's at stake. He has to call out Republicans and say to them, hey, you want to fix this? This is a bipartisan bill that actually lays out ways to fix the challenges at the border in this immigration system.
No, it's not. It's fucking foreign aid. That's the problem, is it's foreign fucking aid. It has nothing to do with the border. And that's why nobody will sign it, you dumbass. She thinks we're dumber than she is. And that's just hilarious on its own.
Making this into law, a piece of legislation that would be tough, that would be fair, that would do this in a way that...
It's not fair. You don't know what fair is. Somebody throw the shoe.
And so, look, we're always going to evaluate options. We are. But the reality is the way to actually deal with the challenges at the border, to actually move forward with what we're seeing with this immigration, this broken immigration system that we've been seeing for the past couple of decades, is to move forward with this bipartisan legislation.
You don't think we get an announcement of anything before State of the Union?
What I'm saying to you is no decision has been made. We are continuing to be very loud.
Continuing to not fix the border and beg for money for foreign countries. Got it.
Went to Brownsville, not with other elected officials who were on the other side of the aisle, if you will, and he saw for himself what was going on the ground, and he saw that more resources needed to be provided. And he spoke.
I hope she has to use her hands when it's her turn to eat shit.
I think that this is something that Republicans really need to understand. There is a deal. There's a bipartisan deal. They can't listen. And they admitted this, right? They're listening to the former president. They're listening to Donald Trump, who is trying to do things for himself. It's politics for himself, not about the American people. And what you saw from this president yesterday is how he's putting the American people first. And that's what you're going to see at the state.
Well, all those votes say otherwise.
You talked about IVF at the top of the briefing, but announcing the VP's trip to Selma this weekend, the White House said she would encourage Americans to continue to fight for fundamental freedoms under attack throughout the country. Will she specifically talk about the IVF ruling in Alabama and talk about reproductive rights during her remarks there?
So look, I don't have anything to share at this time on what the Vice President's going to speak to, but what I can say, and you all have seen this, that she's going to continue to speak out against these continued attacks on reproductive freedom, as she has done for the past 2-3 years throughout this administration, obviously since Dobbs' decision, and she's been on tour, right? She's been on tour talking about reproductive rights and how important it is to protect that. She's been to Wisconsin, Georgia, California, Michigan, and so she's going to continue to do that. I'm not going to get ahead of what her remarks and what she's going to say in Alabama this weekend. Okay.
Thank you, Corinne. Given the uncertainty around when and if the House will take up the National Security Supplemental, can you talk about the President's level setting today with Prime Minister Maloney?
So look, Prime Minister Maloney has been certainly a partner in as it relates to the war in Ukraine. Obviously, that was started by Mr. Putin, and she has been a great partner. So that obviously that's part of the agenda and having that conversation. I mean, what you're asking me is a really good question, right? I think our role in this and how we move forward. Everyone's watching. Everyone's watching how the U.S. is going to move forward as it relates to the National Security Supplement. Are we going to continue to provide the assistance that we have for Ukraine as they are bravely fighting for their democracy? The world is watching. And that's what House Republicans need to understand. We were able to do it 70-29, getting that National Security Supplemental out of the Senate. Now, all Speaker Johnson has to do is put it on the floor. We know that there is overwhelming bipartisan support for it.
I'm kind of surprised she's not talking up Nikki Haley.
And it is, it is true that the world is watching what we're doing. And we got to continue to be a leader on this. The president has been a leader as it relates to what's happening in Ukraine and making sure that they have the assistance and the security assistance to fight for their freedom. And so that is something that we do have to deal with when we meet with these leaders. We have to be, they're seeing what happened. And so Congress needs to take action. Lives are at stake here.
I'm just asking if the president is being blunt and saying, like, hey, it's not looking good.
I mean, look, I'm not going to get into specifics of their private conversation, but I don't even think that the president needs to say that, right? I mean, the prime minister sees for herself, I'm sure, what is happening, and they're going to have an honest conversation. The president is good about having honest conversation with his counterparts across, obviously, in other countries. So they'll have an honest conversation. They'll discuss that. Not going to get into private specifics about that, but this is for House Republicans need to understand. The world is watching what we're doing here, how we're moving. What are we going to do to really assist Ukraine? And it's not just about Ukraine and Israel and Indo-Pacific and obviously the all-important.
It's not about them, but that's all you fucking talk about.
It's also connected to our own national security. And we have to put the Americans' national security first. And
you don't care about national security with that border wide open. You sound dumb as fuck right now, KJP. Go sit down somewhere. You're fucking grounded.
Yesterday, the administration nominated Marty Walsh to the Board of Governors for the Postal Service. Democratic and Republican members of Congress have been complaining about issues with Postal Service now for a couple of years. Does the White House think there needs to be a change in leadership? Are you satisfied with the job that Postmaster General DeJoy is doing? Do you think there need to be changes in how the Postal Service is operating?
I mean, look, I don't have anything specific to share about that, but I can say, look, Marty Walsh is someone who served in this administration as Secretary of Labor. The president the president was proud of the work that Marty was able to get done, and he is certainly thrilled to nominate him in this new role. Look, the president always wants to make sure that every agency, every department in this administration, obviously in the federal government, operates at its best capacity, right? At its full capacity. And so that's what we want to see, and it's not about us, it's about the American people. Okay, Jackie.
Thank you, Corinne. Is the administration coming around to the idea that physical border barriers work?
Can you say more? Where's this? What do you mean? Where's this coming from?
Well, it's been 6 weeks since you guys won a Supreme Court case that would have allowed you to remove razor wire at the Texas border that you guys argued there's an emergency, immediate need to take down. but it's still up. So DHS hasn't touched it. Why is it still up?
I mean, you have to speak to Department of DHS, obviously. I just don't have anything for you on that. We were very clear about what we thought about those wires. Obviously, DOJ took action. I just don't have anything on timeline of those coming down. I'm sure they'll have more for you on that.
And the president said at the border yesterday that it's long past time to act. Heard all of your previous answers on executive orders, but the president took 94 or so executive actions in his first 100 days that largely loosened immigration policy. One of those was narrowing who ICE could remove. And the administration, as of yesterday, I believe, is now calling on sanctuary cities to cooperate with ICE. So why doesn't the president act like he said it's time to do and start undoing some of those policies that he put in place right when he got into office?
So I think a couple of things. Since day one, the president took action. He did. He put forth
he fucked everything up.
Policy, and he did that because he understood what was happening, right? He understood that the immigration system was broken. He understood that we needed to take action, and he did. 3 years, and during those 3 years, Republicans got in the way. Any resources, any additional resources that we asked for, they voted down. They didn't want to move forward with it. And so the president tried to do the best that he can with what he was able to get. And
lying makes you weak.
We get to a point at the end of the year where we start negotiating with Republicans and Democrats in the Senate. We come up with a piece of legislation, a proposal that is supported by the the Border Patrol, right, union, that's supported by U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I mean, we took action. We have taken action over and over.
The actions you took hurt national security. That's what was laid out before you started flapping your face.
Narrow action that he could take to secure the border, improve the situation that we're seeing ravaging communities.
We took action at the end of last year, worked with Republicans in the Senate, Democrats in the Senate, came up with a bipartisan agreement that would actually make a difference. I mean, it's Congress's job to legislate. It is their job to legislate.
We're never afraid of legal challenges with things like student loans.
Here's the thing.
You used executive orders when you wanted to.
We have taken action over the last 3 years.
What?
We've taken policy.
What's an example?
We have taken action. The president has. Now we need to get it into a place where we can actually make a real difference on the border challenges that we're seeing. And we did. I mean, this is Republicans getting in the way because of what they were told by the former president. That's shameful. That is. You know, we're talking about
bunch of words, and then you say it's shameful. Lying your ass off.
They care. So the president worked across the aisle to get a piece of a proposal done that was negotiated in a bipartisan way that's getting support from organizations that you would never dream would support.
He's shaming people for not acting. He's also not acting.
I'm so sorry. That is so false. He has taken action. He has taken action.
Oh, he's taken action.
Rejected it because of the last president. That is not what is going on here. It isn't.
She doesn't even have an excuse.
They told on themselves. Republicans told on themselves and said that the former president told them to not move forward with the bipartisan border patrol deal. So they told on themselves.
Executive action you can take.
We're saying that the best way to move forward is legislation. That's with any issue. The best way to move forward is legislation. Put that into
so pathetic. She looks so pathetic right now.
That would do that. By the way, the bipartisan agreement.
By the way, just like old man Walter.
Border deal has provisions in there that these House Republicans want. These congressional Republicans have been asking for years. So what's the problem? What's the problem? Is it politics or is it the American people? That's for them to answer.
The American people? Yeah, they have a problem with the American people. That's why they won't close the border. Fucking stupid.
Given that it's a big commercial
I hope she steps on some Legos tonight.
real estate market or community banking?
So I'm going to be careful, and we are very mindful here. We don't comment on every individual situation or institution, obviously, but Treasury and regulators monitor the banking sector. But broadly speaking, the banking system remains sound and resilient with substantial liquidity, including among regional banks. So just going to be super mindful.
She's cooked. She's up out of here. I give it 2 minutes, maybe she'll be up out of here.
I have to start wrapping it up. Go ahead, Jared. I know I meant to call you before.
I know that the president signed the CR today to prevent the shutdown this weekend. What's his level of confidence after the meeting he had with the Big Four earlier this week that this might be the last CR he has to sign for some time? Does he think that there really is a bipartisan agreement here to lock in these appropriations bills?
Look, the bipartisan agreement obviously prevents a shutdown, but it is a, as you call it, a short-term fix, not a long-term solution. It is not a long-term solution. And so Congress needs to do its job. We're going to continue to say that. It is the basic duty that they have is to keep the government open.
She kills me talking about what everybody else should be doing while they don't do anything but sit around and point fingers and call names.
National security supplement.
Worthless and pathetic.
And it'll get bipartisan support, overwhelming bipartisan support. And we got to do that. And as you know, as I just stated, it is vitally important to Ukraine. So we got to get that done. And so, look, we're going to continue to say that the House has to do its job.
Cody, you crack me up.
The government open. It's their basic duty. It's not difficult. It is not difficult. I'm glad, obviously we're glad you said the president signed the CR. And we're glad to see that, to prevent a shutdown. But it is a short-term fix, and we need a long-term solution. The American people deserve this.
But that meeting this week was really focused on finding that long-term solution, right? It was on
I mean,
sort of
it was
the
also...
full...
Yeah, this guy's got the same haircut as me.
Yes, that's what we want to see, but they also, it was also about preventing a shutdown, which we were able to see, which is good, right? It is good that the government is not shutting down today. It is good, right? That is important for the American people. But we need to find a long-term solution. That's what we need to find. All right, in the back, way in the back. Go ahead, Hastings.
Thanks. Another immigration question. Immigration has definitely risen since Biden took office, even without legislation being passed. It's much higher now than it was 5 years ago. So why is that if it's not because of Biden executive actions that he took when he got into office?
I mean, that's why it's so important to get this bipartisan deal that came out of the Senate done. We understand that there's challenges at the border. We understand that the immigration system is broken, has been broken for decades. It was broken under the last administration. We want to get this done. But I will say since May of last year, DHS has removed or returned more than 565,000 individuals, and the vast majority of whom crossed the southern border. So, 565,000 removals and return is more than every full fiscal year since 2013. So that has been happening. DHS has been doing everything.
But you let 22 million in, you dumb ass.
We need to do more, which is why the president worked with the Senate in a bipartisan way. We gotta see.
Everyone knows too much at this point. She just looks pathetic.
On a different topic, NBC is reporting that the president's aides are working to minimize disruptions from pro-Palestinian protests, making events smaller and withholding their locations until he arrives. Do you have any reaction to that report? And how do you guys vet?
I've not seen that report. I would just refer you to the Secret Service on that one. Go ahead.
Thank you. A federal judge ruled against AstraZeneca today in its lawsuit challenging the drug pricing program. Do you have a response?
I don't have a response to that.
And drug makers are expected to answer by today on if they agree or disagree with Medicare's initial offer on your drug pricing program. Have you received any responses from companies yet, or have any update on how that's going?
So here's what I'll say. One of the important provisions that came out of the Inflation Reduction Act was the fact that Medicare was able to negotiate with pharmaceutical companies, getting to a place where we can actually lower costs for the American people, obviously on drugs, on pharmaceutical drugs, and that's incredibly important. And so that's what we're going to see. The president wants to continue to make sure that we lower costs on these drugs, on these important pharmaceutical drugs for the American people. That's why he moved forward to do this. Many elected officials for decades tried to do it and couldn't do it, and the president beat Big Pharma. I'm not going to get into any pharmaceutical companies, but I'll get into what I wanted to say. obviously was how important it was to get that Inflation Reduction Act done, how important it is now for Medicare to be able to negotiate and help out millions of Americans across the country who pay just too much for drugs, the pharmaceutical drugs here that are much cheaper in another country. That shouldn't be. That shouldn't be who we are as a country. And so the president obviously wants to see Medicare continue to lower some of these costs.
And someone asked about mifepristone and CVS and Walgreens, and you had suggested that you worked with pharmacies you were encouraging pharmacies to apply for the certification, excuse me. Can you talk about what that looked like with CVS and Walgreens and what the collaboration was like, if there was, between the administration and those two companies?
So a couple of things. Back in a year ago, January 2023, FDA took independent and evidence-based action to establish conditions under which pharmacies could choose to become certified to dispense mifepristone. So that's how it all started. Several pharmacies had already been certified to dispense mifepristone, but today's news confirms that some major national pharmacy chains have completed that process with drug sponsors and can begin dispensing mifepristone for the first time. So we expect certification effort to continue through the drug sponsors, and so that's how it works. You got to get the certification. We work in partnership with pharmacies. We want to encourage them to get that certification, and that's kind of how the process started over a year ago. All right, guys, have a great weekend. See y'all next week.
Low-income kids struggling for FAFSA applications across the country.
What did he ask about? Something about applications across the country. There's probably something favoring border crossers. If I had to guess, it probably has something to do with those poor border crossers. They've only killed so many of us so far. Trillions still to go. And Trump did it. Okay. Well, we're not done yet. We got one more video left that's actually the news and not lies from the podium. And then we got our funny video of the day. This video coming up is Gavin Newsom criticized after donor benefits from exemption to California's $20 minimum wage. Sent Gavin Newsom nice little donation. All of a sudden, he's the only business in town not being mandated for this new minimum wage hike. I think all this guy's employees should just quit. Just quit. Everybody gets to be paid $20 an hour except for his employees. Sounds like bullshit to me. I would skim through the chat, but I know we're all together on this. We had enough of KJP. She extensively overstayed her welcome. We're gonna need 3 of these. Gotta clean the palate, you can still hear the lies in my head. Alright, hooligans, let's get this started.
Welcome to the show, my former boss. He's Forbes Media Chair, Steve Forbes. It's good to have you on, Steve. So, what do you make of this story, this breaking news? California state lawmakers now want to investigate California Governor Gavin Newsom. He reportedly gave a break, an exemption to California's new $20 minimum wage hike to his buddy, a mega donor, Greg Flynn, who owns Panera Bread chains out there. Is that fair?
Well, it's sort of, the old phrase, pay to play. This is pay to not pay. Pay the politician so you don't have to pay the workers. That guy figured out if you pay the politician, you don't have to, you can save money. It's cheaper than paying workers. And it's just so blatant. They got the unions to go along by saying, hey, this is the price of getting this through the legislature. And the thing is, he was originally opposed the rise from $16 to $20. And so Gavin Newsom said, okay, I'll make an exemption. Suddenly the guy was on board.
So this guy, Greg Flynn, he's the largest restaurant franchisee in the U.S.
Yeah, he's a billionaire.
And a billionaire, if not the world. I mean, he's got thousands of Applebee's, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, Wendy's. He's donated tens of thousands to Governor Newsom, including to fight a recall push. Now, Gavin Newsom is thought to be a stand-in, potentially if President Biden doesn't run again. It doesn't look like right now. But do you think this is damaging to Gavin Newsom?
Well, we'll see if he has the kind of a Trump shield where something comes along that you don't like, but your supporters are still there. I don't think it's going to be the case with Gavin Newsom. And the question is, when does Biden get pulled out, and how are they going to pick his replacement? Newsom is the front runner, biggest state in the union, and as you alluded to, big money gatherer. Big money out there goes for him, so he'll be able to help fund the campaign. And so the fact of the matter is, Gavin Newsom is the front runner, and who else is going to challenge him? Governor Whitmer of Michigan. Yeah. But I think one of the things that could happen is the Democrats may go for a completely unknown. Somebody with no baggage, like Jimmy Carter back in 1976.
Interesting.
And that way, they hope, being an unknown, you can beat Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, this is really damaging to Gavin Newsom, but he's trying to play it down, as just, sausage making and making the laws. But
it was Bismarck who said two things polite people shouldn't see: lawmaking and sausage making. And they go right together.
Yeah, it sure does. So, the governor told reporters, well, I'm just, just ignore this. This is just part of politics. Let's listen to what Gavin Newsom said when he was confronted about this late last year. Watch.
There's a provision in this bill that exempts bakeries, essentially places that sell and bake bread on site. So carving out essentially Panera and Boudin. I wonder, why in the agreement did you all decide that those workers should not be within the umbrella of this?
That's part of the sausage making. That was part of 257, the original bill, and we went back and forth, and there was part of the negotiation. It's the nature of negotiation.
Wait a minute. That's complete nonsense, because McDonald's is not exempt. They're going to get hit every franchise location, something like $250,000 in extra costs. And forgive me. Yeah. There's also more. It's Chipotle. All the fast food chains are going to get hit, but not Panera Bread, because Panera Bread's owner gave tens of thousands of dollars to Gavin Newsom's campaign. He's a mega donor. He's a high school classmate too. The National Restaurants Association chief is now advising, fast food chain owners, listen, you need to have political relationships.
Well, that just goes to show pay to play or pay to not pay. In this case, not pay your workers. And the fact of the matter is, in terms of this whole thing, is what California is doing is completely unconstitutional. They've now set up a special board to dictate to restaurants how they manage their restaurants, what they pay their workers, working hours and things like that. Absolutely wrong, going to be thrown out by the courts.
Yeah, this is going to be wild to see. This story's got legs. It's really hitting Gavin Newsom hard. Thank you so much, Steve, my boss. It's my former boss. It's good to see you and have you back on.
Good to see you.
Okay, coming up, we've got it.
Holy, there's so much wrong with that. That is full-on government overreach. I don't know. First of all, I don't even know how they can tell people what to pay their employees as long as it's above minimum wage. And then to turn around and make one business exempt from the minimum wage hike, how is that not discrimination? Like, that seems like direct discrimination. And then they're showing favoritism to his old classmate that's a mega donor who gave money. So now all the Panera Bread people, which I don't even know what that is, they all don't make as much as everybody else in the state. They should just leave. They should leave that guy behind. There's no way that I would be working at the only fucking place in the state that's not making as much as everybody else. There's no way. There's no way I would be sitting there doing that. That guy would regret making those decisions, trying to get exempt from what everybody else is doing. No, we would stage a walkout. There is no way I would let that stuff slide. It wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me getting treated like that. Bunch of bullshit. I don't know. Definitely not out there making California great again. I could see that. I can see that all the way from Michigan. Well, hooligans, that's all the news I had for you guys today. But we do got a funny video coming up. It's sort of funny. It's titled How Guys Show Affection. It's coming up next. But first we're going to read through the chat and see what you guys think about new scum out there fucking up California. Snook smells like bullshit. Yep, I know, and it's a whole bunch of bullshit at the end, so hopefully this funny video will cheer you guys up. I don't like ending things on a bad note. Breeze by you, they will not keep employees. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. I hope they're not hurting for staff right now, because not only are they not taking on new employees, I imagine they're getting a lot of phone calls sick right now. That'd be my ass. I'd be like, hey, I know I was supposed to come in today, but my belly hurts, and I got the sickness, the one that everybody's scared of. I got that, and I can't come in today because I need to go put applications into every other fucking employer in town because I'm not working for less than everybody else. That's exactly what would be going on. Those people, man, it's not good. Cool Frog, waiting on New Scum to be VP for Big Mike. We'll see how it goes. They keep bringing up Whitmer. You guys have no idea. That'd be like having fucking Hitler running the country. Whitmer is terrible. She ran us into the ground. 50% of our economy in Michigan did not recover after the lockdowns. Like, she turned Michigan into a ghetto. That's what happened. She made Michigan ghetto again. That's what she's working against Trump. She is a terrible person. They better not put her in office. It would be the worst. It would be the worst. Let's see. Joe, let's see. If they crush fast food, guess I'll have to bring lunch because I'm not paying these stupid prices. Yeah, I can't even afford McDonald's. The last time I went through there, I left. I didn't even pay. I got to the point where they told me what the price was, and I was like, what all did you write down? And they read my order back to me. It was like a burger, some fries, a coffee, and I don't remember what the other thing was, like a chicken sandwich on top of it. They were like, yeah, your total's $37. I was like, holy fuck, it's just me in the car. Like, I ain't got money like that. No, I'll go sit down and eat and pay half of that. I'll go to House of Flavors, eat 2 of everything they got on the menu for breakfast, and my total comes out to $26. But I go pay almost $40 at McDonald's just so I can shit it out in 20 minutes? No, thank you. No, thank you. I'd rather eat food from the gas station than do that stupid shit. And all of those places are doing it. Like, I'm sure you guys heard about Wendy's. They were going to do surge prices. So if you show up when they're really busy, they're going to charge you extra for that. You're going to pay extra for your expensive fast food. No. We need to boycott all the fast food places that are doing that stupid shit. And they try to reel it back in, but we already seen it happen with Target. We've seen it happen with Bud Light. It's the same thing. They show their ass. They show their true colors. We let them know how we feel about it through social media and bitching, pretty much. And then they try to reel it back in and see if we forgive them or not. It's a bunch of bullshit. We need to boycott all this stuff. And like I've been saying for the last couple months, you got to get out there and vote. But every day is an opportunity to vote with your doll hairs. Everywhere you spend your money, you're putting your trust, your investment in these companies. Stop spending your money with these people. That's how you really hurt them. That's how you really let them hear what you think, is stop spending money with them. Their shit sucks anyways. It sucks anyways. Make dinner at home great again. You know, like that's what I've been doing. I've been out here cooking again because the gas station down the road is closed now. I can't be eating my little turkey sandwiches at 4 o'clock in the morning anymore. Now I gotta go get groceries and cook like a real person, like a real adult. Let's make cooking at home great again, because these fast food places, they're not worth it. They're not worth it. And everything's messed up. Everything's messed up. When I go into restaurants and they're doing everything right, then I'll spend my money there. I'll tip the waitresses and the staff and all that. But I'm not going into McDonald's and have you guys fuck my order up and then still charge me $48 for it. No way. That ain't gonna be me. Nope. I'd rather sit at the house and cook chicken and eat vegetables and shit like that. I'd rather eat steak and rice every day. It's cheaper. It's fucking cheaper. It's crazy sauce. Stoner. I eat gas station food every day. Me too. I gotta stop doing that, but gas station's closed right now. They're getting renovated. It's gonna take like 6 months, I guess. Undercrofter McDonald's in Panama has coconut shrimp. McDonald's in Canada has poutines. Like, you know, it's almost like chili cheese fries. But, yeah, our McDonald's don't have anything cool. Questionable employees at most. That's all they got. Puffin stuff, the greasy Gretchen. Yeah, she's a terrible person. She should be in prison right now. They made us go through all those lockdowns and all that bullshit that came with it, and after it was all said and done, our Supreme Court was like, yeah, everything she's been doing for the last year is unconstitutional, so you don't have to follow those rules anymore. And then the next day, the health department picked all those guidelines up that she put in place and recommended it for public safety. So then we still had to live under those unconstitutional guidelines, but now they were mandated because the health department picked it up. And when they pick it up, what they say goes. And it's, I don't know, she's a terrible person. She better stay the fuck away from the White House, because that would be bad for everybody, no matter who you vote for. I believe she's the kind of person that could bring us to an Auschwitz situation. She is no good for anybody. Alright, hooligans. It's looking good. So I think it's time for that funny video. What's up, Sam? Happy Freedom Friday. You're just in time for the good stuff. Just in time. So this here is titled How Guys Show Affection.
How you doing, buddy?
Obviously not good.
Hey, well, where are you going?
I'm going inside.
Okay, well, I brought you a bottle of bourbon in case you were still sad about your grandpa's passing.
He just passed away today. Of
Yeah.
course I'm still sad.
You're still upset about it?
Yeah.
He was 92 years old.
Okay, I didn't want him to die.
Angry when he got older, didn't he?
All right.
Well, he did. Every time I came over, he was like, oh, what's Dad doing?
Well, hooligans, I thought that was funny. That's how I handle stuff, pretty much. I don't know. Hold on. Let me fix this audio. I had to turn it all up because it was quiet. God, I thought that was a good one. It was relatable for me. Yep, just had a conversation like that with my buddy. He's going through the same thing. I'm like, hey, it'll be all right. He's like, I know, da-da-da. I'm like, well, you ain't got to be gay about it, man. Tell me about your feelings and stuff. He's like, dude, my grandpa just died. I'm like, I know, I'm just fucking with you, buddy. It'll be all right. That's just how it is. That's how guys are. It's good for us. It's good for us. In the future, it won't be like that because they're making all the dudes turn their wieners inside out and brainwashing them and shit. Anyways, that is all the coffee I had for you hooligans today. So I'm going to be dropping this Linktree link to all of you guys. We're going to read through the chats. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll be wrapping this up. We'll see about playing the game tonight, because we don't have President Trump. We do have President Trump tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly what time. I think it's after Coffee with Hooligans, though. So we'll definitely be live tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time for Coffee with Hooligans. And then we'll be live again covering President Trump tomorrow. So I just dropped that Linktree link to all of you guys. All of my links are listed, so if you would like to make donations, join membership programs, or purchase any merch, I'd really appreciate it. All of your contributions keep us running every day except for Sunday, because we got to have a day to recharge those batteries. Scroll down and go join Gilded. Gilded is free and currently the best way to receive notifications for when and where we go live. Every time we go live, the hooligans are there keeping the conversation going, and we have a news board to keep you up to date with everything going on around the world. So definitely join Gilded. If you're feeling saucy, go join jeffmaclive.com. You click that link at the top of the link tree that will expire April 1st, so don't be waiting on it. You got like 30 days until that link expires, and you'll just be out of luck for that free week to go see what's going on the website. We have a live streaming area over on jeffmaclive.com that is the best way to view the live stream. Our chat is customizable and has all kinds of abilities. That's a lot of fun during the live. You can post memes, GIFs, and all kinds of other stuff. Then we have our own social media area on the website that's called Hooligans Alley. It's like Facebook without all the liberals and the crybabies and the liars and the fact checkers and the bullshit. There's no communism there. It's just hooligans hanging out, having a good time over on Hooligans Alley. And we have an advanced messaging system with the ability to text each other, call each other, video call each other, group texting, group calling, group video calling, and a bunch of group chats and more over on jeffmaclive.com. So go check it out. It is the home of the hooligans. And I just a little side note here, I think it's really funny to watch X, which used to be Twitter, become close to what we already have. So it's funny to kind of see a platform that cost $40 billion or whatever starting to become more like what we already got. And we built it from scratch. We didn't have to buy it off anybody. And we own all of it. And that's why it's the home of the hooligans. Snooks, Trump's at, Trump is at 2 Saturday. Wait a minute, what's today? Yeah, Freedom Friday. Okay, so we may be running it back to back tomorrow, probably. More than likely, we'll be doing Coffee with Hooligans, and we'll be covering President Trump during Coffee with Hooligans tomorrow. So we may even have a voice chat tomorrow. And at game tonight, we will see. We'll see, because I want to put these shirts together, because I've been telling you all week, every day. I'm like, oh, tomorrow you'll have new shirts. And then something happens and it doesn't work out. So we'll see how it goes, because I want to get these shirts out. And I think I'm just going to release all 3 designs at once. The American Hooligan design, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, scroll back to the beginning of the live, because we showed it earlier, the new designs. We have 3 different variations, and I may throw in a 4th one of American Hooligans, got the flag on it and all this other stuff. You'll see. You'll see. I'll put it together tonight. Let's see. Roger, you're going to be working? We'll see. I got to get some food, and then as soon as I get some food, I'll know more. Sam, the home of the Hooligans. Yep. And I think we're going to have some updates over on the website as well. I've been looking at some program changes for Hooligans Alley, and it will just it'll change the way everything looks. We'll still have all the abilities that we have, but I think we'll have a more polished looking social media area, so we'll see how it goes. We're going to read through the chat really quick, make sure no hooligans are left behind, and then we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll wrap this up. Let's see. Sly Dog. Put the P.O. box number like an apartment number? Yes. Yeah. If you write the words P.O. box on there, they'll reject the package. A lot of times UPS or whoever, they'll say, oh, we don't mail to P.O. boxes, which is true, but we're mailing it to the post office, and the post office is holding my packages, and they know it's me and all that stuff. The post office I have the P.O. box at is in a very small town. So when I come to town, everybody knows. It's like Trump got there. Like, I walk in and they're like, hey, we've been waiting for you. I'm like, all right, cool. The people in Langton, that post office is trash. It was terrible. I had to leave that place. Breeze by You. Everyone join the website. It's fun. It is. It is. I appreciate you, Breeze by You. Let's see. SEPA should give Elon a peek of the website. Maybe you can sell and cash millions, then build a new site. If I could reach Elon, I would. I would. Stern, I have to do the same with the post office. I have them mail it to the street address and then add the P.O. box number for them to hold it. Yeah. Yep. Mr. Beansy Beans, I love watching post office audits. I've never even seen that. I didn't even know post offices got audited unless you file a complaint or whatever. Carol, or is it Carl? No, it's Carol. Perfect nickname, New Scum. Trump was saying that yesterday. That's why all of us are saying it. Because when we covered President Trump at the Orange Eagle Pass in Texas yesterday, he was calling him New Scum. 0. At least someone's holding Jeff's package. That was a good one. That was a good one. That one got me. That one got me. All right, hooligans. It's looking good. So it's that time once again. Where's Klaus Daniels been this whole time? Is he napping? That fancy feast has got him lazy. Fat and lazy. All right, hooligans, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There we go. Did the thing. Man. All right, hooligans, I'm going to read through the chat one more time and we're wrapping this up. I'll let you guys know about the game. I got to get some food in and I want to work on these shirts and get them done. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I appreciate all of you guys being here. Like I said, I'm going to read through really quick. We're wrapping this up. Slide Dog texts, tag Elon on X and he may reply. He has been known to do so. Anytime I've tagged him, he doesn't reply. It's really weird. I don't know what it is. It's like I'm in a glass dome. I will do things and only 4 people will see it. and it'll be fine. They're all excited to hear it or whatever I'm showing. But then I'll see somebody 10 hours later, the next day, 5 days later, do the same exact thing that I did in the same exact location, and they get 300,000 views, 500,000 likes. They just go viral all of a sudden. It's like I'm stuck in a glass dome. It's like I do not get the same treatment as other people. I don't know why. It's like I'm always being held down in place, but it doesn't stop me from trying. It's just the way it is. Let's see. Island. The last video is good. Otherwise, not a lot of good news at the end there. Dealing with KJP. Gavin Newsom given special treatment because he's corrupt as fuck. And then we had the funny video. Mr. Beansy Beans, they're funny. These rude entitled post office people get put in their place. Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that because I can't stand postal workers. The ones I'm dealing with right now are okay, but generally they're not that great. And I don't know why. They're federal workers. They get all these benefits and shit, and all they do is sit inside the post office. You meet the mail guy who walks through the fucking snow every day, and he's happy to see you. You go into the mail room where these big old ogre bitches are, and they act like you ruined their fucking life. And I'm like, look, if you hate your life, there's two things you can do about that. You can fix it or end it all. But either way, it ain't my fault. Like, there ain't no reason to come and talk to me like that. I spend more money in this motherfucker than anybody does. And I get mad. I don't want to talk about it. You guys could get me riled up. Fucking post office and shit. Anyways, thank you guys so much for being here and having another fantastic live with me. We'll see about playing the game later on today. Like I said, I want to get these shirts done. I've been telling you all week I'm going to get them done. So I got to do that today. Huge shout out to everyone that made donations, joined the membership programs, or purchased any merch. I really appreciate all of you hooligans. And I wouldn't be able to do any of this if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much for all your support. I'll see you on the next live. Until then, stand tall, shine bright, and that's a wrap.